Leo was the first to rise from the plush semicircular booth, gesturing to the empty space beside Ethan. He announced that they had been waiting for Julian for a long time, then nudged Ethan to offer a greeting. For over a week, Ethan and Julian had been living under the same roof, yet they had barely exchanged a dozen words. Ethan remained frozen, his dark sunglasses a ridiculous shield in the dimly lit private lounge. Greet him? He was more concerned Julian might physically assault him. Steeling himself, Ethan managed a stiff nod in his direction, murmuring a quiet acknowledgement of his attending physician. Julian's expression was thunderous, as if he'd just been personally insulted by the universe, but he gave a curt, almost imperceptible nod in return. Ethan didn't know if anyone else felt the oppressive tension, but he was certain his toes were trying to dig a tunnel straight through the floor of the building. The lounge was bathed in a moody, ambient light. To Ethan's left, Noah had chosen a pop-punk anthem from the early 2000s and was now jumping around, singing with joyous abandon. Caleb, seated next to him, watched with an expression of such complete adoration it was almost painful to witness. After 2 songs, Noah passed the microphone to Leo, who had selected a classic duet. As a local news anchor, Leo's voice was naturally resonant and clear, far superior to the average person's. What surprised Ethan, however, was how well Dr. Bennett's voice complemented it. Leo's tone was clean and crisp, like a clear stream running through a quiet forest. Miles's was a low, rich baritone, like waves crashing against a rocky shore. During a brief instrumental break, Miles speared a piece of cantaloupe with a small fork, carefully picked off a stray seed, and offered it to Leo. He waited until Leo had eaten the sweetest part from the tip before popping the rest into his own mouth. Ethan had to look away. It was too much. But the scene on his other side was just as cloying. From the moment they'd arrived, Caleb's gaze had been fixed on Noah, aside from a brief, critical glance at Ethan's aggressively styled hair. The same skilled surgeon's hands that had performed countless delicate operations were now patiently shelling pistachios, one by one. He meticulously peeled away the thin inner skin, ensuring the nut was perfect before feeding it to Noah. Ethan felt trapped. He wondered if they had seated him in the middle on purpose, a deliberate act of psychological warfare against the single. Even with his sunglasses on, the sheer brightness of their affection was blinding. He pushed the frames up his nose and chanced a glance at the man beside him. Julian was only a foot away, a rigid statue of disapproval. Since his initial withering look, he had done nothing but sip silently from a bottle of mineral water, his face turned away. Ethan wanted to leave. This place was a torture chamber for the unattached. Leo set down the microphone and brought a small platter of fruit over to Julian, offering it with a warm smile. He suggested the melon was particularly good and asked if he'd like to try some. Julian took a piece. Leo kept the platter held out, glancing toward Ethan. He then suggested, in a voice laced with casual innocence, that Ethan seemed a little far to reach and perhaps Julian could feed him a piece. The words, spoken so lightly, nearly sent Ethan into a seizure. He stretched his arm out to a comical length, speared a chunk of pineapple, and shoved it into his mouth. He assured them, his voice muffled by the fruit, that he could reach just fine. The thought of Julian feeding him was absurd. Julian was more likely to throw him into the Hudson River to feed the fish. After placing the fruit on the table, Leo handed the microphone to Julian. He declared that since everyone else had sung, it was now his and Ethan's turn. Julian's response was as flat as his bottled water. He stated that Ethan could sing by himself. The command from the Demon King was absolute, and the little fool didn't dare disobey. Ethan stood, taking both microphones, and announced he would sing. As he made his way to the large touchscreen to select a song, a wave of relief washed over him. Sitting next to Julian had been like sitting on a throne of needles. He scrolled through the categories, wondering what to choose. He usually listened to indie rock or current pop hits, but listening and singing were two entirely different beasts. He couldn't afford to embarrass himself in front of Julian. He needed something simple with a low difficulty curve. Singing was a forbidden activity in his own home, and he never participated in the late-night karaoke sessions after department dinners, as they always coincided with his bedtime. The only person who had ever willingly listened to him sing was Mr. Henderson, the old groundskeeper at the memorial park. The two of them would often have impromptu, off-key singing battles for the amusement of the neighboring plots. Ethan's eyes landed on a familiar title, and he pressed the screen. Perfect. That one would do. The opening chords of a cheesy 80s rock ballad immediately caught Julian's attention. What followed was a voice so breathtakingly awful it defied belief. Ethan's normal speaking voice was a pleasant, clear tenor, reminiscent of sunshine and summer days. His singing voice, however, was another creature entirely. It wasn't just loud. It was how he managed to miss every single note, often by a full octave. The situation was far worse than Leo had anticipated. He glanced over at Julian, wondering if he had known about this hidden, terrible talent. For lines were Julian's absolute limit. He stood up, strode over, and snatched the microphone from Ethan's hand. His voice laced with irritation as he asked if he was trying to summon spirits from the underworld. Ethan hadn't wanted to sing in the first place. His throat was already sore from the effort. He was just about to cut the track when a new, beautiful melody began to pour from the speakers. It was Julian's voice, a mature, masculine tone, slightly husky, that seemed to vibrate right in one's chest. He transformed the cheesy power ballad into something sophisticated and soulful. Ethan watched Julian's focused expression, a single thought echoing in his mind. He was so handsome. He fought the sudden, insane urge to request a Coldplay song for him, burying the impulse deep down. When the song ended, the room erupted in genuine applause. Julian placed the microphone on the table and returned to his seat. Ethan stood there, still holding the second mic, trapped. What now? Should he continue? His performance felt like an assault on the senses. Leo, ever the savior, spoke up, asking if he and his husband could sing one. He explained that a song had just come to mind that he was desperate to perform. Grateful for the rescue, Ethan handed over the microphone and started to retreat back to the song selection screen. He had no desire to return to his seat next to the Demon King. But Leo grabbed his arm, pulling him back. In a very low whisper, he reminded Ethan of his purpose for being there that night. Ethan remembered. Get drunk, apologize, and throw himself at Julian's mercy. Right? He had a mission to accomplish. He stiffly sat back down beside Julian. After another love song, Leo glanced back at the sofa. The two men were still like statues, not an inch closer, with absolutely no interaction between them. Leo sighed in frustration. Ethan was usually so quick-witted. How could he be so dense when it came to matters of the heart? It was clear he needed another push. Leo invented an excuse and led the others out of the room. In the main lounge area, Caleb and Miles started chatting, while Leo took Noah over to a claw machine. As Noah fumbled with the joystick, he asked Leo if he thought Ethan and Dr. Julian could make up. Leo, watching the clock on his phone, replied that if Ethan followed his instructions, they would. But how far they'd go, he mused, was entirely up to Ethan himself. Inside the private room, Ethan felt as rigid as a mummy. The previous awkwardness had been bad enough, but being alone with Julian was a new level of excruciating. He tried to mentally review the lesson plan from Professor Leo's little class, but his mind was a complete blank. It was hopeless. There was nothing else for it. He picked up a glass of whiskey, and as if giving an opening toast at a banquet, declared to Julian that he would drink it all, and Julian could do as he pleased. Julian didn't drink. Instead, his eyes swept over Ethan from head to toe, his brow furrowed in confusion. His gaze finally settled on the sunglasses that covered half of Ethan's face. He asked if Ethan had been in a fight. Ethan nearly crushed the glass in his hand, stammering that he hadn't. Julian's voice was cold. He asked why he was wearing sunglasses indoors. That wasn't how Leo had instructed him to start. Ethan quickly adjusted his tone, trying to sound remorseful. He asked if his appearance was displeasing, offering to change it. He let his lips tremble slightly, adding that he would change anything until Julian was happy with him. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He regretted not bringing his emergency anxiety medication. It wasn't working. Julian wasn't even looking at him. Professor Leo, was this plan a dud? Julian had been about to retort with something scathing, but the boy's sudden shift in demeanor caught him off guard. The sharp words died on his lips. He looked again at Ethan's ridiculous outfit. It was tolerable, not as offensive as he'd first thought. Just then, his phone rang. Julian stood up to take the call, turning his back to Ethan but remaining in the room. With no music playing, the space was eerily quiet. Julian made no effort to lower his voice, and the conversation drifted to Ethan's ears. He initially assumed it was a work emergency and prepared himself to leave with Julian. But after a few moments, he realized it wasn't about a patient. They were discussing medical equipment contracts and logistics. Julian was still on the phone. Ethan stopped listening and turned his attention back to his grand, nation-building project of an apology. He pulled out Professor Leo's little class from his mental files again. He reviewed it and reviewed it again. It was harder than any exam he'd ever taken. He, who had placed 6th in the entire city on his college entrance exams, was being defeated by Leo's ridiculous script. How could such cringeworthy words even exist? After ing and deleting, the only usable parts left were the words you and me. After another full circle of mental gymnastics, Ethan picked up his glass again. This was the simplest way. He'd just drink. Outside the room, Leo helped Noah win 2 stuffed animals. Enough time had passed. He told Noah they should go back and check. But instead of bursting in, Leo led Noah to the door, ready to send Ethan a text message first. Just as he pulled out his phone, the door swung open. Julian emerged, his face dark, carrying a small, drunk figure in a suit on his back. The drunkard's sunglasses were hanging precariously from one ear, his face flushed red. He was mumbling to himself as he lay draped over Julian's back, slurring something about drinking up, that they were all brothers and not to be polite. Leo had told him to pretend to be drunk, but had he actually gotten this wasted? Fearing the pressure would be too much, Leo had intentionally chosen the easiest method for him. How had it still gone so wrong? Leo reached out, removed the dangling sunglasses, and tucked them into Ethan's suit pocket. He asked Julian how he had gotten so drunk. Julian had no idea. He hadn't expected it either. He'd been on the phone for maybe 20 minutes in the same room, and when he turned around, a row of empty liquor bottles stood on the table, with another bottle of high-proof spirits lying on its side. The kid had, like a complete idiot, knocked himself out. Julian hitched him up higher on his back as he started to slide down. He told the others to enjoy the rest of their night. He was taking Ethan home. Leo stopped him. He said that while it wasn't his place to interfere, if Julian just took him home like this, Ethan would be disappointed again tomorrow, lost in a drunken haze. He reminded Julian that while Ethan might be confused, Julian wasn't. He glanced at the unconscious boy, unsure how much he could hear, but hesitated only a moment. He started to say something about Ethan and Julian, but Julian cut him off. He said there was no need to say it. He was waiting for Ethan to tell him himself. Leo nodded. He told him to get home safely. Julian carried Ethan towards the parking garage. Ethan was like a boneless creature draped over his back. His hair, stiff with gel, stuck to Julian's shirt collar, and every movement caused a faint crackling sound. The normal Ethan smelled of clean soap, and his clothes, washed in the same laundry, would carry a trace of Julian's own scent. But this version of him smelled only of sharp, overpowering hair gel. Julian turned his head away, catching sight of the ill-fitting suit and the greasy slicked-back hair. What on earth was he trying to accomplish, looking like this? Ethan swayed with Julian's steps, his voice a drunken mumble. He asked if he wasn't handsome. Julian's reply was dry. In his eyes, handsome meant looking like a bodyguard. Ethan argued that it could be the Matrix. Julian told him he had a deeply skewed perception of himself. Ethan's head lolled to the side, and he nuzzled insistently against Julian's neck. He whined that it was all his fault, asking what he had done to him. Julian couldn't escape the contact and finally relented, explaining that Leo had told him to dress up to get his attention. Julian gave a humorless laugh, acknowledging that it had certainly gotten his attention. He then offered a piece of sincere advice. Never dress like this again. Ethan's voice softened as he asked if Julian didn't like it. His fingers hooked onto Julian's collar, tracing the edge of the fabric. His voice, now a breath against Julian's neck, was soft as he promised to change it, to keep changing until Julian liked it. Julian froze, his entire focus on the hand that refused to let go. He waited until his heartbeat steadied before speaking. He said it wasn't that he disliked it, but that Ethan shouldn't wear it out. His throat was tight, and he could hear the thumping of his own heart. He added that Ethan could wear it at home, just for him. Ethan's next words were like a small, lost animal whimpering in the rain. He asked if Julian was going to abandon him. No one could refuse a small, fluffy creature that snuggled and whined so pathetically. Julian assured him he wasn't. Ethan mumbled an "oh" in response. Unconsciously, one of Julian's shirt buttons had come undone, and Ethan's hand was now exploring, trying to slip inside to his chest. So many years, and he still couldn't break the habit. With Ethan on his back, it was difficult for Julian to pull his hand away. A hot pressure built in his chest. He asked what else Leo had taught him. Ethan confessed that Leo had told him to apologize sincerely. Julian pressed for more. Ethan refused to tell him. Julian stated that his apology lacked sincerity and felt rehearsed. Ethan mumbled that he was supposed to make breakfast for 7 days. He had planned to forgive him on the 5th day at the earliest, maybe even the 7th, afraid that once he was forgiven, the breakfasts would stop. But Ethan had stopped on the 4th day. Ethan explained that he thought Julian didn't like it. Julian corrected him. It was that he couldn't bear to eat it, savoring every bite. Another button came undone. The shadow of Ethan's hand fell across Julian's chest. Ethan promised to make it for him again, asking if Julian could stop being angry with him. Julian confessed he wasn't angry at him, but at himself. Angry for letting his emotions be so easily manipulated. Angry for not seeing the obvious theatrics. The deliberate way Ethan spoke outside the ER. The way he wrote prescriptions under the security camera. The way he waited until Julian was finished with his shift to make his move. All the signs were there, but Julian had been blind. His mind a white-hot fog of anger. He barely recognized this version of himself, so easily controlled, like a clown whose emotions were not his own. Julian surrendered. He told Ethan he had lost to him. He was sorry. He helped Ethan into the passenger seat, reclined it, buckled the seatbelt, and draped his jacket over him. He told him to sleep, that he would wake him when they arrived. But Ethan shot up, grappling with the seatbelt, and lunged toward him, trying to bury himself in Julian's arms. Julian's shirt was half unbuttoned, and Ethan's head pressed against his chest, rubbing back and forth as he pleaded with him not to go. Julian had a flash of déjà vu, a memory from 8 years ago of a warmth on his chest that felt like malt candy. He told Ethan to let go first. Ethan refused, holding on even tighter. It was history repeating itself, a piece of human chewing gum that couldn't be peeled off. Julian had no choice but to call a rideshare, allowing the whimpering man to cling to him. When they finally got home, Julian all but threw him into the bathroom, ordering him not to come out until the gunk was washed out of his hair. The bathroom door shut. Julian waited outside, calling to him twice before he finally heard the sound of the shower. It was immediately followed by a deafening, earth-shattering rendition of a country pop song. One song finished, and another began, this time a cloyingly sweet pop tune. Not a single note was in key. It was horrifyingly bad. Julian couldn't take it anymore. He left to go wash the sticky hair gel off his own chest. When he came out of his own shower, Ethan's bedroom was dark. The wind blew moonlight through the open window. Ethan was lying face down on the bed, hugging his phone. Julian stood in the doorway and asked why he wasn't asleep yet. Ethan mumbled for him to mind his own business. Julian tilted his head, just able to make out the glow of the phone screen. He asked what he was looking at. 3 little words floated out, as if attached to a dozen hands that reached out and scratched at Julian's heart. My boyfriend. He felt a shameful urge to spy as he stepped into the room. A second later, he turned away, a wry smile playing on his lips. He asked if he had the other party's consent to be calling him that. From the bed, Ethan's voice was defiant. It was none of his business. He was facing away, a blanket covering the lower half of his body, his torso bare. The pale, untouched skin of his back was clean and white. His hair was soft again. His finger was swiping across a photo on the screen. Julian's voice was low. He asked if Ethan only liked the person in the photo, or if he liked any photo of him. Ethan's reply was firm. It wasn't just the person. It was his boyfriend. The wind seemed to make his words wobble. The room smelled of alcohol and Ethan's soap. Julian wanted to get closer to smell it more clearly. Just a little closer. Staring at a screen was so unsatisfying. Julian undid the belt of his robe, letting it fall to the floor. He lifted the blanket. A cloud of warmth rose into the air. He forcibly turned Ethan over. He offered to let him see the real thing. Ethan had a blissful night. He dreamt of the chest and abs from the photo, lying willingly on his bed, letting him touch, rub, and kiss them as he pleased. From top to bottom, inside and out, it was pure, stimulating, delicious happiness. His head was nestled on a pillow, and he rubbed against it, his hands grasping and kneading. A good night's sleep always put him in a good mood. Even the pillow felt exceptionally nice. He was reluctant to open his eyes, hoping to drift back to sleep and dream of something even more exciting. A strong arm wrapped around him, pulling him closer. Ethan hugged the pillow tightly. Then the pillow spoke. "You're awake." The pillow spoke again. "Sleep well?" Ethan's eyes fluttered open. He confirmed that the pillow was, in fact, Julian. He had to be dreaming. It must be a dream. Otherwise, how could he be resting his head on Julian's chest? His hand still shamelessly fondling his abs. But the pillow was still talking. Trying to play dead again? A bolt of lightning struck his head. He could only smile to hide the reality, use politeness to conceal his terror. Snuggling into the embrace, he said cheerfully, "Good morning, Dar. Julian." It was 11 o'clock. He asked if he was serious. Ethan buried his face deeper into Julian's chest, mumbling that he had slept so soundly he hadn't even noticed. On the surface, he was calm. Inside, he was panicking. "Stay calm. I can keep up the act." Julian's arm moved, his fingers gently ruffling Ethan's hair. He asked if anything seemed familiar now. Ethan's brain had ceased to function. His hand gripped Julian's chest, his forehead rubbing against his shoulder, generating heat. He mumbled that it was vaguely familiar. His wrist was suddenly caught and moved away from Julian's chest. Julian's voice was low, a hint of fire beneath the surface, as he asked if he really still didn't remember. A terrible memory struck Ethan. A gay bar on the south side of town, 8 years ago. He never wanted to think about it, but Julian was whispering the memory back to life in his ear. "You were drunk. You latched on to me, wouldn't let go, insisted on coming home with me. In the next room, on my bed, on the windowsill, on the table, in the shower, on top of me." "Ethan, do you really not remember any of it?" On the bed, the windowsill, the table, the shower, on him. Fragments of information flooded his brain like a shattered and reshattered puzzle. Ethan frantically tried to piece them together, finally finding one valuable piece. He shot up in bed, clutching the blanket, eager to refute the claim. Before he was even steady, he fell back down, instinctively pulling the blanket over Julian as well. Why wasn't he wearing any clothes? It was all so large. Ethan's face turned the color of a ripe tomato. He covered Julian completely and burrowed under the covers himself to continue his mission. He insisted it was nonsense, that the old man back then had pure white hair, even whiter than Mr. Henderson's, and was much older. The memory had haunted him for a week. The color of Julian's face suggested he was about to have a stroke. He asked who told him white hair meant old. Ethan, indignant, argued that hair that white couldn't possibly be premature graying. Julian, tired of explaining, found an old photo on his phone and handed it to Ethan. It was a candid shot from a basketball game, capturing Julian mid-jump as he took a shot. He looked young, probably in college. The jump had lifted his jersey, clearly revealing his abs and V-line. Ethan zoomed in. Julian's abdomen was smooth and unmarred. He didn't have the scar yet. After admiring the abs, Ethan's gaze moved up to his shoulders, to the shock white hair. The old man's white hair. He didn't look like a doctor at all. He looked like a rich kid who drove a sports car. And he was actually quite handsome. Ethan clutched the corner of the blanket, contemplating whether to start digging a hole in the floor. Julian's condemnation was far from over. He left the bedroom and returned 2 minutes later with a souvenir. He held it out, asking if it looked familiar. The souvenir was clean and neatly folded in Julian's hand. Even if he were blind, Ethan would have recognized his missing one-piece boxer shorts from that strange night 8 years ago. This was a disaster. Ethan's heart was doing acrobatics. He felt like he was about to need the emergency room himself. As terrified as Ethan was, Julian remained calm. He asked if he had anything to say. "Ethan, wrapped in the blanket, wanted to sing a requiem for himself. He mumbled a question, asking if Julian had recognized him from the start. Julian confirmed that he had. He then added, with a hint of sarcasm, that he, on the other hand, did not have a habit of getting drunk, acting like a hooligan, and then conveniently getting amnesia. Ethan was still trying to mount a defense, asking why Julian hadn't said something sooner. Julian retorted that he had hinted at it many times. Ethan felt like he'd been struck by lightning, so that's why Julian had asked if he looked familiar on his first day. No wonder he had reacted so strongly and been so angry. For the past 6 months, he had been dancing on his own grave. He was amazed he was still alive. At this point, it was a lost cause. Ethan decided to go down swinging. He reasoned that Julian was also at fault. Since he had recognized him, he should have just said so directly. Julian's reply was a verbal scalpel. "You didn't remember anything. What was I supposed to say? You're on your first day of a 7-year residency program, and your new attending physician informs you that you've slept together. What would you do?" Ethan considered it. He'd quit, pack his bags, go home, and say goodbye to medicine forever. He fell completely silent, like a small dog who'd played in the mud on a rainy day, ears drooping, clutching the edge of the blanket, awaiting his punishment. The current situation was that he had not only slept with his department head, but he'd done it twice. So, should he choose death or packing his bags? Julian was as composed as if he were leading a clinical conference. He asked Ethan what he wanted to do, how he planned to handle their relationship. Ethan didn't know, but he was grateful that Julian was giving him the right to have a say. He asked if he could think about it. Julian asked how long. Ethan requested 3 days. Julian agreed, stating he would wait for his answer. As Julian's footsteps faded away, Ethan dared to shove his head under the covers. Then he realized he wasn't wearing anything either. He pressed his head down with a blanket and the pillow, burrowing into the headboard, racking his brain until he could barely breathe, trying to remember last night. But it was a total blank. He checked his waist for red handprints. He tried tensing his muscles. No pain. He checked his whole body. Not a single mark. Was Julian's technique that good, or had age diminished his physical abilities? He remembered being sore for a week back then. Julian's voice called his name. Ethan jumped, startled, and poked his head out from under the blanket. Julian was still there. He informed him that he was on the afternoon shift and needed to get ready. Ethan blinked, his head disappearing and then reappearing from under the covers. He told Julian he wanted to go back to the traditional medicine department. Julian turned to leave, then turned back. Ethan sat up. He asked what was wrong. Julian lowered his gaze, his tone softening. He was hungry. Ethan scrambled to find his underwear, a sense of unreality washing over him. He decided he would do his rotation in traditional medicine. It was quiet, peaceful, like being in retirement every day. But he still preferred the tense, bustling, post-disaster relief fulfillment of the emergency department. On his first day back, Dr. Chloe Vance had just returned from a business trip, and the others were welcoming him back along with her. Chloe even brought him a gift. She teased him, asking what had happened while she was away, that someone was bullying their little intern. Ethan held the gift box, mumbling that it was his own fault. Chloe smiled and told him to keep up the good work, that he would be a pillar of their ER one day. A pillar of the ER. His attending physician made it sound so easy, but right now, Ethan couldn't even think about it. He hadn't even figured out his relationship with the ER director yet. In reality, he had no time to figure it out. The relentless pace of the work forced all other thoughts from his mind. The 3-day deadline arrived in the blink of an eye. On the second day, he got off work early. As he was about to leave, he saw a familiar face at the department entrance. It was Mrs. Gable, an elderly woman he had met at the triage desk. She was 90 years old and had brought her grandson in for a stomach ache. Ethan had noticed that her condition was far more serious than her grandson's and had intervened, saving her life. The grateful woman had been bringing him farm-fresh produce ever since. Live chickens, ducks, and organic eggs included. Ethan wouldn't accept them, so she had started insisting on setting him up on a date, and he had vaguely agreed just to get her to stop. Ethan approached her, but before he could speak, she cut him off, asking why he hadn't been answering her calls. He pulled out his phone, 3 missed calls and several voice messages. He apologized, explaining he'd been busy at work. She waved it off, saying she understood completely. From her grocery basket, she produced a plastic bag, from which she unwrapped a small cloth bundle containing 7 or 8 photos. She told him these were all potential matches she had found for him and urged him to take a look. Back then, Ethan had just been trying to politely decline the woman's constant gifts. The requirements he'd given her were half-hearted but true. At 25, his mother and grandmother accepted that he liked men and wouldn't have children. But they still hoped he would find a good, considerate person with a stable job to spend his life with. Ethan had no intention of going on blind dates and wasn't in a hurry to be in a relationship. But his family was eager for him to be married by the end of the year. Mrs. Gable pointed to the photos. This one's a university professor, teaches something about space. An astrophysicist, I think. Very smart. This one's a lawyer, has his own firm. 8 years older than you, tall, refined, very handsome. And this one's an elementary school teacher. Good-tempered, knows how to cook. A very down-to-earth man. Take your pick. I told them about you, and they're all very interested. She chattered on excitedly. Ethan would rather be looking at a stack of blood test results. A familiar voice cut through the air. Julian stood behind him, his expression serious. "Are you leaving?" he asked. Ethan quickly turned back to Mrs. Gable, explaining that his attending physician was calling him and that he had to go. He promised to message her later. Relieved, he hurried to catch up with Julian. Behind him, Mrs. Gable waved, calling out that she would text him the photos and was waiting for his reply. The car ride was deathly quiet. At work, they were normal colleagues. But as soon as they were alone, Ethan felt the urge to start digging again. He didn't know what Julian was thinking, but he himself was incredibly awkward. Julian broke the silence. He asked if he had made his decision. Not the full 3 days yet. Julian pulled the car over in front of their building. He told him to get some rest. Ethan unbuckled his seatbelt and asked if Julian wasn't coming up. Julian said he had a work dinner. Ethan said goodbye. He didn't like it when Julian went out at night, regardless of the reason. He stood by the car door, telling him to drink less and come back early. Julian was a man of his word. By the time Ethan finished dinner, he had dozens of messages on his phone. A few were photos of the potential dates. The rest were voice messages. The elderly woman wasn't great at typing, so each message was a full 60 seconds long. Ethan converted 2 of them to text. They were more or less the same, detailing the candidates' situations. She was most enthusiastic about the lawyer and the elementary school teacher. The lawyer was handsome and had a high income but was a workaholic. The teacher was gentle and nurturing, a non-homeroom teacher with summer and winter vacations. She emphasized that the lawyer was so busy he'd never been in a relationship. While the teacher had dated someone long distance in college, but they broke up after graduation and he hadn't dated since. Both were good, respectable men. Ethan put his phone down without replying. It wasn't that he couldn't choose, he didn't want to. Logically, he knew either would be a good choice, the kind his mother and grandmother would approve of. But his heart was already full. There was no room for anyone else. After a shower, he was grabbing a t-shirt when his eyes fell on the other side of the closet. It held the loungewear that had been there since he moved in. He took down a shirt. He could smell Julian on it. On impulse, he turned off the light, using the darkness as a shield, and put on Julian's shirt. He picked up his phone and replied to the messages. "Thank you so much for all your effort, Mrs. Gable. The men you introduced are all wonderful, but I already have someone in my heart. I don't want to waste their time." He exited the messaging app and opened his photo gallery. The apartment was dark, and his hearing was heightened. He heard the sound of the front door opening. A figure appeared in his doorway. Even as a silhouette, he was instantly recognizable. It was Julian. The man walked straight toward him. It was only 8:30. Julian stood in the bedroom doorway, his tall frame blocking the light, casting a shadow over Ethan's heart. He asked if he could come in. Ethan realized he was still wearing Julian's shirt, but it was too late to refuse. Julian, dressed in a suit, was right in front of him. The only thing he could do was eliminate the source of light. He tried to hide his phone behind his back. He asked why Julian was back so early. Julian's voice was low. "Didn't you tell me to come back early?" Ethan gave a non-committal response and tried to stuff his phone onto a bookshelf, but Julian caught his arm, taking the phone with it. He asked what he was hiding. Ethan pressed himself against the desk, the edge digging painfully into his back. He insisted he was hiding nothing. Julian's tone wasn't harsh, but it was threatening. He asked if he was messaging his blind dates. Ethan denied it. Julian asked how it went, if he was happy. Ethan insisted he hadn't talked to them, that he had refused. Julian wanted to know the reason. Ethan mumbled that it wasn't a good fit. Julian still held his arm, his grip firm. He asked again if Ethan had made his decision. Not yet. Ethan trembled under his intense gaze. Julian leaned closer. "But I can't wait." Ethan turned his head away. "Dr. Julian, you're drunk." Julian's voice was a low murmur against his ear. "You told me to drink less. I only had one glass." He hooked an arm around Ethan's waist and lifted him onto the desk. "I'm perfectly sober, and I can take full responsibility for everything that happens next." His thumb tapped the screen of the phone. "If you weren't messaging them, what were you doing? Looking at my pictures?" Lying in the face of shame is a basic human instinct. Ethan vigorously shook his head. "No." Julian's voice was a seductive whisper, challenging his resolve. "Didn't you want to look?" The white shirt in the dark room was a precious treasure in Ethan's eyes. The tie was gone, and 3 buttons were undone. Julian released his arm and moved closer. "You can touch, too." He took Ethan's hand and placed it on his chest. "If you want it, it's all yours." Ethan's hand was greedy, lustful. And here was someone opening their chest to accept his thirst. "Here, too. And here. All of it belongs to you." This was the first time Ethan had touched Julian while fully conscious. His fingertips became flames, searing a path across Julian's skin. He was under a spell, his body a cage that had imprisoned him for nearly 8 years. Julian gave endlessly, even helpfully pointing out the most worthwhile areas to explore. The warmth of his chest, the texture of his abs, the long line of his V, the edge of his silk boxers. Julian kneaded his earlobe, teased the ends of his hair, tormented his basic human instincts with his knee, and tore down his last defenses, biting his earlobe until it felt like it was boiling. He whispered, "Need some help? To make you feel good?" Ethan instinctively tried to pull away. "Dr. Julian, don't." Julian's voice was a low growl. "We've done it on the bed. What are you afraid of?" Logically, Ethan knew this was wrong, but Julian had scrambled his brain. Everything he said sounded right. When the elastic waistband was pulled away, Ethan still flinched, like a startled cat, claws retracted, curled up in a narrow, dark space. "Dr. Julian," he whimpered. Julian pulled him from the darkness, cupping the back of his head, soothing him over and over. "Close your eyes. You'll like it." He gently peeled away the layers, his touch tender. Ethan could hear his own heart pounding against his ribs, could feel his skin burning. "Remember what I said before." Julian held him gently, as if handling a small, precious object. "It's beautiful. The color, the shape." There was the sound of soft cotton tearing in the air. "Dr. Julian." "Yes." Ethan tilted his head back, gasping for air. "My shirt." Julian's voice was smug. "I wanted to rip it, so I did." He had seen it from the beginning, certain Ethan wouldn't be able to refuse him, which was why he was being so brazen, so entitled. He whispered in his ear, "Did you do it yourself?" Ethan shook his head. No, liar." Julian's punishment intensified. "How did you do it? Looking at my pictures?" Ethan's hands were on his shoulders. "Dr. Julian, please, don't say it." "Shy?" Ethan trembled, nodding. Julian wouldn't let him off that easily. "Use a different name." Ethan gasped. "Director Julian. You called me Jules back then," Julian commanded. "Say it again. Let me hear it." Ethan was burning up, desire a tide trapped inside him, waiting to be released. He bit his lip, but the name wouldn't come out. Julian was a beast with a mouthful of fangs, yet he held him softly in his arms. "You owe me that for next time." Ethan's breath came out in a rush, tumbling onto Julian's chest. He could easily find the birthmark there, and he rubbed against it again and again, holding back for as long as he could. The air tasted of salt. Ethan went limp in Julian's arms, hearing him open a drawer. A towel wiped away the mess on his palm and between his fingers, then came for him. Ethan jumped off the desk. "I'll wash myself." He locked the bathroom door. It took him a while to gather the courage to look at himself. The collar of the shirt was torn away in a large piece, completely ruined. The area around it was red and swollen from being kneaded. The more he reacted, the harder he was squeezed. "Beast." "Ethan," Julian knocked on the door. "Still not coming out?" Ethan frantically added a condition. "I need a minute. You sleep in your room, I'll sleep in mine." Before he left, Julian reminded him that tomorrow was the third day. He didn't need the reminder. He knew. But he wasn't going to make a rash decision. He needed to be responsible for himself. The next day after work, Ethan flagged down Chloe Vance. "Do you have a minute?" Chloe joked, "If you're asking me to help with an intubation, no can do. But if you're buying me dinner, I'm in." Ethan agreed to dinner. The two of them went out together. Seated in the restaurant, Chloe stared at the menu, then looked at him with suspicion. "Are you sure about this place? Should we go somewhere else?" Ethan, putting on a brave face, told her to order whatever she wanted. Asking Chloe out was a well-thought-out plan, but choosing this restaurant was a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was his first time taking a woman to dinner, and the small pubs he frequented with friends weren't appropriate. He had racked his brain and brought her to a high-end seafood restaurant. It was only when he was paying for his own meal that he realized a casual dinner here could cost him a month's salary. After they ordered, Chloe held her teacup and said, "You're making me nervous. What's going on?" Ethan said he just wanted to talk. The restaurant was so expensive that Chloe couldn't help but let her mind wander. "You're not trying to ask me out, are you?" Ethan shook his head vehemently. Chloe sighed in relief. "You scared me. I remember you're into men." Ethan mumbled and drank his water, tacitly confirming her statement. She pressed him again, asking what was really going on. Chloe speared a giant tiger prawn. She was a firm believer in the "you feed me, I help you" philosophy, but covering his shifts was out of the question. Ethan explained he wanted to hear some news. The residency gossip group chat. Chloe was an admin known as the ultimate source of information. This was her domain. She told him to ask away. Who did he want to know about? Ethan said, "Dr. Julian." Chloe let out a small laugh. "Of course, it's him." Ethan got straight to the point. "His relationship history. How extensive is it?" Chloe, though a gossip, had her principles. An attending's work habits, academic achievements, personality quirks, those were fine to discuss, helpful for residents to avoid landmines. Eyewitness accounts were also fair game. But the rest of the gossip, especially about their private lives, was generally off-limits and never discussed in the group chat. Ethan's question made Chloe recall the recent rumors about him and Julian. The special request to have him on his service, the excessive attention, the intimate gestures. Coupled with Julian's status, it was starting to sound like a ghost story. Chloe leaned in, lowering her voice. "Are you serious about this?" Ethan replied that he needed her to tell him first, so he could decide if he should be serious. He didn't care about the past, but he needed to know if Julian could be serious about a relationship. "Do you even know who Director Julian is?" Chloe asked. Ethan was confused. "Who else could he be?" Chloe clarified. "I mean, do you know about his family?" Ethan knew he was wealthy. Chloe sighed. He must not have read the messages in the group chat. Compared to Julian's family background, wealthy was probably the least impressive descriptor. His grandfather, Julian Bellwether Sr., is a trustee and dean emeritus of our affiliated university. Did you know that? He's also the president of the state hospital. Did you know that? Ethan shook his head. Well, you probably don't know this either. Dr. Bellwether Sr. is a nationally recognized scholar, a PhD advisor at multiple medical schools, a visiting professor at numerous prestigious universities at home and abroad. His family are the 16th generation practitioners of Bellwether traditional medicine. He's a master of traditional medicine, hailed as the country's foremost practitioner. And you probably know even less about his parents. Dr. Julian's mother is the CEO and a major shareholder of Summit Dental, a chain with hundreds of clinics across the country. His father runs a private hospital that rivals the state hospital in scale and collaborates with many top medical institutions worldwide. Dr. Julian is their only son. Chloe shrugged. Still think he's just an ER director? The massive amount of information sent Ethan's mind into a tailspin. As for your original question, Chloe continued, about his relationship history, I've never heard of any. But in college, he had a nickname, the Nightclub Prince. Chloe emphasized that this was all hearsay. She couldn't confirm it. But none of that matters. What I'm about to say is the most important part. Chloe looked at him seriously. The rumor is that Dr. Julian has a marriage arrangement, and the person he's arranged to marry is me. The third day was almost over, and for Julian, it had been the longest wait of his life. Ethan wasn't answering his calls or texts. It wasn't until late that night that Julian finally heard him come home. Ethan looked like an animal without a spine, collapsed on the floor half a meter from the plush wool rug, but not on it. He smelled of alcohol. His eyes were red, but his face was pale and cold. So cold it made you want to pull him into an embrace. Julian went to help him up, asking if he was drunk. Ethan pushed him away, hiding his face in the shadows. Julian asked what was wrong. Ethan didn't move, playing dead. Julian knelt and noticed his torn jacket and the mud on his pants. He asked how it happened. He tilted his chin up and saw a cut on his lip. Ethan insisted it was nothing, jerking his head away. Julian caught his chin again. "What are you hiding from?" Ethan let him hold it, as still as a taxidermy specimen. Julian unzipped his jacket. "Where else are you hurt?" Ethan pushed him away again, pulling his collar tight. "Don't. You've never seen me before. What's there to hide?" Julian held him steady, not allowing him to struggle, and carefully inspected his injuries. His shoulder was bruised, his arm and face were scraped, and his lip was split. Julian demanded to know what happened. "An electric scooter. Are you an idiot? Is that what you are?" Julian's heart softened. "Why didn't you call me?" Ethan insisted he could handle it himself. Julian placed the jacket aside. "I'll carry you to the shower." "No need." Julian ignored him, determined to pick him up, but was met with the most violent struggle yet. Ethan scrambled away, hiding in the shadows, his shame like a whip, each lash more painful than the last. "Director Julian, please have some self-respect." Self-respect? It was the most ridiculous thing Julian had ever heard. Ethan just wanted to escape. He couldn't bear it. He had waited for 3 days, only to be met with this unforeseen result. Julian's voice was strained. "Does our situation bother you that much?" Ethan nodded, the reality cutting him so deeply he couldn't open his eyes. Julian's voice was as thin as air. "What do you plan to do?" "I want to transfer departments," Ethan said, hugging his knees like a lost child. Before he could confirm the truth of the rumor, Ethan just wanted to keep his distance. Especially now, when he'd been drinking. Even though it wasn't much, he was afraid of losing control and doing something foolish. "I'll contact Dr. Hayes. You can go to neurosurgery for now." "Thank you," Ethan said. "I'll move out tomorrow." Julian's lips twisted into what might have been a smile, but his expression was unreadable. "So eager to draw a line between us? To avoid suspicion?" He said Ethan could do as he pleased. He wanted to be dignified, but his final shred of dignity was a soft heart. He told him it was hard to find a new place on short notice and that he could stay until he found one. He promised not to come back until he was gone. "But I have one condition." Ethan looked up, daring only to look at his shadow. "I have to treat your injuries before you can go." The light from the crystal chandelier rained down. Ethan leaned against the window, maintaining a defensive posture. Julian held a cotton swab, dabbing disinfectant on his cheek, his forearm, his shoulder, and finally, his lip. He remembered its temperature, the taste of it, the eager response. But now he couldn't touch it, couldn't bite it. As he finished, Julian couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his chin. "If you want to look, then look. What's with all the sneaking around?" "Who was looking?" "I wasn't looking," Ethan said, his feathers ruffled, hiding behind the curtain. "I didn't want to look. There's nothing to see." A large bulge formed in the curtain, and it was easy to see the eyes pressed against the fabric, practically burning 2 holes through it. Julian had had enough. "Ethan, are you an idiot?" I know. Do you have to say it twice?" Julian tossed the cotton swab aside and stood by the window. "Come out. I'll throw in a lobster. Is that good enough? If you don't come out, believe it or not, I'll force myself on you." His tone held an absolute threat. I'll count to 3. 3. Before he even finished the word, Ethan poked half his head out from behind the curtain, his hair fluffy, his face hidden. Julian reached out a hand, his touch delicate, afraid to startle him into running again. When you're sober, will you regret this? I'm not drunk. Julian took out a small voice recorder and placed it on the table. Listen to this when you wake up. You have one chance to change your mind. Ethan didn't need to listen. If he were even a little bit drunk, he wouldn't be this rational. Work went on as usual. Ethan transferred to neurosurgery. Dr. Hayes was strict, but anyone who had worked under Julian was hard to find fault with. Ethan was in at least 2 surgeries a day, his life filled to the brim with work. He used the busyness to numb himself. But news of Julian still found its way to him. On his 7th day in neuro, Ethan still hadn't found a place, but he wasn't staying at Julian's. He mostly stayed in the on-call room. The rest of his time was spent at Mr. Henderson's place. After his 5th ice cream bar, Mr. Henderson snatched the 6th one away. It's been a week. You've emptied my freezer. Stingy, Ethan muttered, chewing on the popsicle stick. I'll go buy more. Is it about buying more? Mr. Henderson poured him a cup of warm ginger tea. Avoiding things is not a solution. Whatever's on your mind, tell me. I don't want to become material for your diary, Ethan said. You little rascal, you don't trust me? It's not that, Ethan rubbed his head. It's useless even if I tell you. Just tell me first. I've fallen for someone I can't be with. Why? Is he married? No, it's complicated. A lot of things. Pick the one that bothers you the most. He has a fiancée. What century is this?
A fiancé?
I don't know. Then go ask him. How can I ask him? Ethan imagined a dramatic showdown between the third party and the rightful fiancé. Mr. Henderson laughed. What are you talking about, kid? The short videos my grandma watches are all about that kind of stuff. So dramatic and over the top, but it keeps the old lady hooked until 2 in the morning. If I take her phone away, she throws a fit. Just ask him calmly. Be reasonable. He's not around much lately. I can't find him. When he first heard the rumor, Ethan couldn't accept it. But after calming down, he knew he had to confirm if it was true. He had been drunk that night, so he hadn't dared to ask. He had tried to find Julian several times since, but he was either busy or not there. Oh, so the one you like is young Julian, Mr. Henderson said. Ethan shot up and clapped a hand over the old man's mouth. Can you not say everything out loud? I have a reputation to maintain. Mr. Henderson nodded vigorously, making an okay sign. Only then did Ethan dare to remove his hand, taking the diary with him. Don't you dare write about this. Mr. Henderson's face crinkled into a smile. If you dare to like him, why are you afraid of people writing about it? Ethan turned red as a beet. His words squeezed through his teeth. Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to interfere in his relationship. If he has a fiancée and is still messing around with you, that means he's a bad person. That's right. A scumbag, a beast, a jerk. Don't be so quick to judge. What if there's a misunderstanding? Mr. Henderson took out a new diary. When do you plan to confirm it with him? Ethan said he'd wait until he wasn't so busy. Mr. Henderson asked what he'd do if he was always busy. Ethan insisted there would come a time when he wasn't. He told Mr. Henderson that being too impulsive could lead to a lifetime of regret. Mr. Henderson asked if he wanted to hear his story. Ethan looked up. If he was willing to tell it. Mr. Henderson unwrapped a new ice cream bar. He was 18 when he fell in love with his boss's daughter. Poor boy and a rich girl. The boss naturally disapproved. The girl wanted to elope with him, but he refused. He didn't want her to live a life of hardship with him. Instead, he made a 5-year promise. On that day, 5 years later, whether he had made his fortune or not, he would return to marry her. He worked tirelessly, barely sleeping for 5 years. When the day came, though not wealthy, he had built a life for himself, enough to provide for a family. He went with a betrothal gift, only to hear that the girl was engaged. He realized then that in an era of poor communication, his promise was just empty words. Why should a good girl wait 5 years for him? He chose to wish her well and left the city, living alone for 15 years. At 40, he couldn't forget her and returned to their hometown. At the place they had promised to meet, he saw her, her hair now streaked with gray, still waiting. The engagement had been a trick to appease her parents so she could leave the house. She had always believed in their promise, that on that day, her love would return to marry her. Even though he was 15 years late, she never doubted him. As long as she waited, he would come. After 20 years apart, we were finally married, he said. But fate was not kind to us. Ethan's hand tightened, the diary creasing in his palm. 10 years into our marriage, she died of bone cancer. Mr. Henderson smiled as he ate his ice cream, colorless tears streaming down his face. I owed her 20 years. Now she's in compartment number 8 next door. 1,000 needles pierced Ethan's heart. Why did you let her wait so long? It was her request. She wanted to be cremated together, to be husband and wife in the next life too. He couldn't bear it. He took this job so he could be with her, talk to her, play her favorite songs. Kid, life is short. Don't leave any regrets. Ethan stood up, his heart pounding. Mr. Henderson, thank you. The old man smiled. Go on, kid. When it all works out, remember to bring me some wedding candy. Wedding candy seemed so far away. He just wanted to get things straight. Even if it was true, he needed to hear it from Julian himself. An apology to Dr. Vance, and an apology to him. He went straight to the ER. He still couldn't find Julian, but another person involved was there. Chloe Vance took off her stethoscope and looked at Ethan, who was hovering by the door. She feigned anger. You have the nerve to come back? You went to neuro without a word. No goodbye, hiding in the ER all day, refusing to see anyone. Ethan apologized. It wasn't that he didn't want to see anyone. He was too ashamed. Chloe asked if he was looking for Director Julian. Ethan said he was looking for her. He didn't want to beat around the bush. He had something he needed to confirm. Chloe tilted her head. What? You and Dr. Julian, do you have a marriage arrangement? Chloe burst out laughing. You gossip-mongering kids. Every year someone asks. So persistent. Ethan was so nervous he could barely hear, relying on lip reading to understand her. Chloe raised an eyebrow. You want to know? Ethan nodded. He wanted the blow to come quickly, better than this slow torture. I can tell you, Chloe said, drawing out the suspense. But you have to promise me something. I promise, Ethan said without hesitation. Silly boy, you didn't even ask what it is, Chloe said, a mischievous glint in her eye. Aren't you afraid I'll lead you astray? Ethan belatedly realized his mistake. What is it? My connection with Julian goes back as far as I can remember, Chloe explained. Our parents are old friends. We're the same age, went to the same preschool, elementary, and middle school, always in the same class, picked up by the same driver, often had dinner together. We were inseparable. But from a young age, Julian was the person I disliked the most. I hated how he could sleep in class, play basketball at recess, cause trouble, and still easily get the top scores. I hated how our families always compared me to him. This dislike continued until high school, when I went to Germany to study, and it finally stopped. Our parents did try to push us together, especially before Julian planned to go to Germany for his PhD. That idea was at its peak. My parents were convinced Julian was going to Germany for me, which caused me a great deal of trouble. I was so sick of his ghost haunting me. I escaped to Germany, and he was still following me. Before he left for Germany, our parents wanted us to get married, to settle things for good. But I just couldn't accept him. He's arrogant yet hardworking, proud yet humble. He's a playboy, yet he's the director of the ER. I always thought there was something wrong with him. When we were kids, it was pure dislike. As adults, being friends is my limit. So, we are indeed childhood sweethearts, but not all childhood sweethearts are meant for love. As for the marriage arrangement, it was just wishful thinking on our parents' part. Neither of us ever acknowledged it. And that arrangement became void 8 years ago. Chloe arched an eyebrow. Do you know why? Ethan shook his head, feeling as if a hot sun was burning his back. Chloe beckoned him closer. In a very low voice, she said, because 8 years ago he fell in love with a boy. Ethan felt like he was filled with a low-density gas, his abdomen inflating, as if he had been tossed into the air, his feet walking on clouds. He had so much to say, his thoughts a tangled mess of yarn. He decided to just throw it all aside. It didn't matter what he said. He just wanted to see Julian. But there was still one obstacle in his way. Chloe beckoned him again. I've answered your question. Now it's time to pay your debt. He had promised her something before she answered, the details of which were still unknown. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. What is it? Chloe looked at her watch. Be my date to a gala tonight. A date. A gala. Those two words sounded golden and magnificent in Ethan's mind, clearly having nothing to do with him. Dr. Vance, I really can't. You willingly offered yourself as collateral. Can't is not an option. Chloe held out her hand like a queen waiting for a subject to kiss it. Let's go. He was on a pirate ship. Ethan followed Chloe sullenly to a design studio. The suits in the window were dazzling. Ethan thought of his own edgy style. He would embarrass her. It was one thing for him to look like a hick returning to the village, but to drag Dr. Vance down with him? That was just wrong. He tried to protest, suggesting she find someone else. But Chloe had her heart set on him. A man in a striped shirt and dark blue contact lenses walked up to them, greeting Chloe warmly. From their conversation, Ethan gathered his name was Kalen, and he was Chloe's stylist. As a dutiful collateral, Ethan stayed quiet, following Chloe to the women's formal wear section. She chose a royal blue silk long dress. Kalen nodded and led Ethan to another room. He was pushed into a salon chair and subjected to various proddings and examinations. He wanted to ask questions but felt it was pointless, so he kept his mouth shut. Kalen asked if he was Chloe's boyfriend. Ethan shook his head so hard his neck nearly snapped. He explained he was just a resident from the state hospital, accompanying Dr. Vance to an event. A junior doctor, huh? Kalen squinted at him in the mirror. Good looks, good physique. A fine specimen. Ethan's ears burned. Thank you. Kalen fiddled with the hair at his temples, his gaze shifting. Has anyone ever told you that your ears are especially cute when they're red? Ethan insisted they hadn't. He just wanted to know when he could leave. Then they have no taste, Kalen said, pulling one of Ethan's ears out from his hair and covering the other, leaving only a small tip exposed. Do you have a partner? Ethan scratched the back of his hand. I like men. My apologies, Kaylin said, then asked, do you have a boyfriend? Not at the moment. Tonight, I'll make you the most handsome man in the room, Kaylin said, turning Ethan's head to face the mirror. I guarantee you won't be single by the end of the night. Thanks, but that's not necessary. Although collateral shouldn't have too many demands, Ethan was a young man with a sense of pride. He asked the stylist if he could avoid a black suit and slicked back hair. Kaylin looked at him with a question mark on his face. Who with such terrible taste made you dress like that? Was it some uncultured brute? His dad. I wasn't involved. After styling his hair, Kaylin chose a light gray suit with a dusty blue tie to match Chloe's dress. A casual style that was much better than the old-fashioned black suit his brute's dad would have chosen. After he changed, Kaylin continued to fuss over him with tie clips, shirt stays, cufflinks, and lapel pins. It was a whirlwind of activity. Ethan thought a wedding would be less trouble. When he was finally done, Kaylin still wouldn't let him move, squinting at him in the mirror, almost staring a hole through him. Ethan's legs were numb. He asked if he could go yet. Kaylin, completely absorbed in his masterpiece, ignored him, his brow furrowed. He's handsome, but something's missing. Ethan didn't care. He just wanted to escape. He feigned an urgent need for the bathroom. Kaylin snapped his fingers. I've got it. He rummaged through a tray of glasses, finally selecting a pair of black frames and placing them on Ethan's face. The mountain range on his brow finally smoothed out. Kaylin's smile reached his ears. Perfect. Ethan looked at himself in the mirror. This was the legendary handsome villain. How shameless. The event was about to start. Ethan bolted, afraid he'd be dragged back for more torture. Women required much more time. Ethan took advantage of the free time to type out a script on his phone. He would call Julian tonight. To prevent misspeaking, omitting, or forgetting anything, he decided to write it all down beforehand. Preparation is half the battle. For over an hour, Ethan wrote furiously, his blood boiling with excitement. He finally distilled his thoughts into 7 keywords. Dr. Julian, long time no see. The sound of high heels on the floor made him look up. Chloe glided into his line of sight. At work, she wore her hair in a ponytail, decisive and efficient in the ER. Now, she wore a matte, textured, form-fitting gown, the soft color making her look elegant and graceful. Her hair was down in loose waves, giving her a fresh, refined air. What are you thinking about? Chloe snapped her fingers in front of his face. You're staring. Ethan rubbed his nose. Dr. Vance, you look beautiful. Thank you, Chloe smiled, adjusting his tie. You're very handsome, too. Her eyes lingered on his glasses for a moment. Kaylin's work is amazing. You might actually end the night with a date. Hearing a similar prediction for the second time in a short period, Ethan wondered if this was a blind date setup. He was perfect for the role of fending off unwanted suitors for Dr. Vance. I'll do my best not to disappoint you, Dr. Vance. With that conviction, Ethan was led to the medical gala. He felt so shallow. The event was filled not only with renowned medical professors but also with many investors in the healthcare industry. It was his first time at such an event, and he was understandably nervous. He stuck close to Chloe's side, listening as she introduced him as her little brother, which gave him a strange sense of warmth. He had grown up with his mother and grandmother and was more comfortable around women. They always brought him a sense of gentle comfort. He never imagined that before he even finished his residency, he would have the opportunity to attend such an event. After a while, Chloe led him to a corner and gestured with her chin. He's over there. Through the spacious, brightly lit hall. Following the line of the crystal chandelier, Ethan saw a man who seemed to shine. He was surrounded by a few people, his height and looks making him stand out in the crowd. He wore a dark, high-end suit, his shoulders straight and tall. His hair was neatly styled. One hand was casually tucked into his trouser pocket. The other held a clear, stemmed glass. He was smiling and talking animatedly. Without his white coat, he was completely different from the man at work. He wasn't the intimidating director Julian, but more like a successful entrepreneur. Chloe explained that this was just how he was. On the surface, he seemed carefree, but if he wanted to, he could excel at anything. Even if he acted like a rebellious delinquent, he had always been the pride of his family. His father had long wanted him to take over the family hospital, but he had a big heart and didn't want to be tied down. Chloe added that recently, Julian's father had been ill, so he had finally agreed to help out. Ethan realized she was saying that his recent early mornings and late nights were due to work, not partying. Chloe smiled. Of course, the ER is exhausting. Who has the energy to play? Ethan wanted to punch himself. Julian was right. He was an idiot. Whether it was his father's hospital, his mother's dental clinics, or helping his grandfather carry on the family's traditional medicine legacy, none of it would be difficult for him. Chloe shrugged. Unfortunately, the young master insists on staying in the ER, doing thankless work year after year. Ethan's eyes were fixed on him, his own fingers digging into his palm like nails. He's going back, isn't he? Chloe asked if he wanted him to go back. Ethan felt like he had swallowed a lemon. What did it matter what he wanted? He wasn't his attending anymore. He was currently in neurosurgery, and he didn't know where he'd go after that. Chloe swirled the wine in her glass. Guess if he'd be willing to let you go. The whole lemon, seeds and all, was now in his stomach, about to sprout. How would I know? Chloe said. Why don't you ask him? Ethan considered how to phrase the question, what he would say if Julian asked why he was asking. But Chloe had already dialed the number. 8 o'clock behind you. She didn't give him a chance to reply before hanging up. Julian held his phone, his eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Chloe, then shifted to the man beside her. For a few seconds, his expression changed. In the moment their eyes met, a phrase popped into Ethan's mind. A reunion after a long separation. Hadn't been that long. They worked in the same hospital every day. It shouldn't be called a reunion, but his heart felt like it was tied up in knots. Ethan panicked, pushing his glasses up, suddenly self-conscious about his appearance, like an actor on stage for the first time with someone important in the audience. He anxiously asked Chloe if he looked like a bodyguard, or someone from The Matrix, or maybe more like an insurance salesman. Chloe laughed. I'm not the one to ask. She turned to the approaching man. You should ask him. Julian walked up to them, his face hardening into his ER director mask. He looked directly at Ethan. What are you doing here? Chloe pulled Ethan closer, linking her arm with his. What's with the harsh tone? I brought him. She presented him grandly. This is my date, Ethan. Isn't he handsome? Julian's expression soured. He told Chloe to stop playing games. Chloe said it was his own choice. What did it have to do with him? She checked the time. Oh, but I have something urgent to attend to. Director Julian, could you please see my little date home safely? She winked. You live together anyway. It's on your way. Chloe made a graceful exit, leaving Ethan to mentally dig a hole with his shoe, still worrying if he looked more like a bodyguard or an insurance salesman. He stammered a greeting to Dr. Julian. Julian told him to give him a few minutes. He walked a few steps away, then came back to warn him not to wander off. swapping his glass of wine for a glass of juice. "I'm not a child," Ethan muttered. Julian had a brief conversation with a few middle-aged men and returned within minutes. He led Ethan out. The gala had just started, and leaving so early was clearly rude. Ethan said he could go back by himself. Julian told him to stop talking so much. He reached out and took off his glasses. "What for?" Ethan touched his nose. "I was wearing them just fine. You're not nearsighted. Why are you trying to look so scholarly?" Ethan was annoyed. "Dr. Bennett isn't nearsighted either, and he can wear them. Why can't I?" "He wears glasses to flirt with people," Julian said, turning to him. "Are you trying to flirt with people too?" Ethan shut his mouth, a giant piece of gossip brewing in his mind. Dr. Bennett was that promiscuous? Halfway to the parking garage, Ethan stopped. "Didn't you drink?" Julian said he wasn't driving. Ethan said he had drunk too. Julian looked at him with the kind of pity one reserved for a lost puppy. "It doesn't matter if you drank. You don't even have a license. Who are you looking down on?" "I'm signing up for driving lessons tomorrow. There's a driver in the car." They sat together in the back of a black SUV. The driver wore a black suit. Now that looked like a bodyguard or someone from the Matrix. The car was silent, no music, no lights. Ethan was tense, his shoulders aching from the strain. To leave early, Julian had downed 3 glasses of wine. His head was a little fuzzy. He couldn't take his eyes off Ethan. He had styled his hair on purpose, it seemed. The tips of his ears were exposed, and they were red. When they passed by streetlights, they looked almost translucent. His eyes darted around. His posture was stiff. His nervousness was so palpable it was almost an invitation. Ethan felt uncomfortable under his gaze and racked his brain for something to say. "Do I still look like a bodyguard?" Julian didn't answer, turning to look out the window, forcing himself not to look. During a red light, the driver handed back a cup and some hangover pills. Ethan took them both. He popped the pills into Julian's mouth and unscrewed the cup, helpfully holding it up for him. Julian didn't move, his eyes on Ethan like a debt collector. "Aren't you going to drink?" Julian's nose couldn't possibly drink water. Ethan quickly apologized and lowered the cup, successfully jamming it against his chin, still earnestly telling him to drink. Julian couldn't be bothered to argue. He grabbed Ethan's arm, moved it to the correct position, tilted his head back, and drank. As he let go, he murmured so quietly it was almost a breath, "You've lost weight." The rest of the journey was silent, each of them looking out their own window. Ethan clutched the wrist Julian had touched, the imprint of his palm still there. His heart was sizzling in a pan, jumping all over the place. The car stopped in front of their building. Julian just told him to get some rest. He wasn't planning on coming up. Ethan grabbed the car door. "Will you be back tonight?" "I won't come back until you've moved out." "Are you still holding a grudge?" Ethan didn't want to wait. "I have something to tell you." Julian glanced at the driver. Ethan didn't say anything. Julian looked at his watch and got out of the car with him. Ethan pressed his finger on the scanner, his body trembling. The moment the door opened, his blood seemed to rush to the surface of his skin. He was so nervous he felt lightheaded, but he had to act nonchalant. The living room was dark. Julian loosened his tie and sank into the sofa, looking languid and relaxed. Ethan felt like he was being seduced. "What did you want to say?" Julian undid his cufflinks, tilting his head. "Are you leaving? Where did you hear that?" "I just wanted to confirm." Julian nodded. Ethan's heart sank, a huge empty space that couldn't be filled. "Will you be able to come back? This work, not a battlefield." Ethan's voice was dry. Julian looked at his watch. Is that all you wanted to say? No, there's more. Ethan scrambled through his mental inventory, but the confession script he had prepared earlier was just 7 words. Dar. Julian, long time no see. Saying that now would get him beaten up. Julian looked at his watch again. I'm in a hurry. I have to go. Don't go. I'll be quick, 2 minutes. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. To hell with it. He took a deep breath. Dr. Julian, is it possible that you could like me? What? Julian looked at him as if he were an idiot. Ethan repeated himself, helpfully elaborating. What I mean is, what would it take for you to like me? Are you serious? Julian was exasperated. Whether I like you or not, don't you know? I'm not talking about the wanna sleep with me, kind of like, Ethan said, messing up his hair even more. That kind of like. Julian couldn't be bothered to distinguish between that kind and the other kind. He said it plainly. My liking you and my wanting you are not mutually exclusive. They're not. So what else do you want? He really should have drafted a better script. This was painful. Until this moment, Julian had thought Ethan was just a little slow. Now, he was convinced the kid had a double-digit IQ. Who in the entire hospital couldn't see that he cared about him, that he liked him? What was he playing at? What do you mean, playing at? Ethan was annoyed, refusing to be wronged. Who saw it? How could they see it? Where could they see it? Then what do you mean? Julian was getting angry. Tonight was clearly a setup. He had walked right into a trap like an idiot. Wasn't it Chloe's doing? Dressing you up like this, deliberately calling me, deliberately letting me see you, deliberately seducing me, deliberately making me distracted, making me restless, making it so I can't take my eyes off you. Ethan was stunned. Was that what it was? Julian was fuming. Ethan, are you an idiot? Ethan hung his head. If you say so. I have things to do. I don't have time for a long discussion with you. His phone was vibrating in his pocket. He didn't have much time left. Ethan, I'm telling you seriously right now. I like you. Do you like me? This was a question Ethan had pondered countless times. The answer came out without thinking. Yes. The phone buzzed incessantly. Julian had time for one more question. I'll only ask once. Do you want to be in a relationship? Yes. But there were conditions. The rest of Ethan's sentence was cut off. Julian had gone to the window to take the call. He seemed busy. About 5 minutes later, he hung up and came back. Anything else to say? Ethan nodded, but said it could wait for another day. He told him to go ahead. The relationship question didn't need an immediate answer. I'll give you 3 days, Julian said, then paused. I'll give you 3 months to think about it. The phone rang again. Julian said a hasty goodbye. Ethan sank into the sofa, replaying the night's events. When he agreed to the relationship, he hadn't thought it through. But did he really need 3 months to consider it? A cooling-off period for a divorce was only 1 month. In the following days, Ethan seriously considered the matter of a relationship. He lowered his expectations to the bare minimum, listed all the potential problems, and still, he wanted to do it. 3 days was already torture. There was no cooling-off period for falling in love. He burst into the ER, ready to drag his soon-to-be boyfriend home, only to be told that Julian had left 2 days ago. His calls wouldn't go through, and no one knew where he was. Ethan was frantic, his mind concocting a tragic drama. He went to Dr. Hayes, heart pounding, and was given a remote, unfamiliar address. Ethan took a train, then a bus, and then walked for hours, finally finding Julian at a town clinic, giving a child a vaccination. The clinic was clean and bright. A dozen children were lined up, their sleeves rolled up, eyes red, mouths trembling, on the verge of tears. But as soon as they saw Julian's face, all their grievances vanished. The demon was truly terrifying to children. The scene was both comical and bizarre. The esteemed ER director of the state hospital was here giving shots to toddlers. After the last child, Julian finally noticed the figure in the doorway. He pulled out the needle. "How did you get here? If I didn't come, you would have run away." Ethan felt increasingly wronged, convinced the man had basically fled from their engagement. "Your phone wouldn't connect, and you didn't tell me where you were going." Julian pulled out a phone with no battery and no signal. "When did you call?" "This morning." "Couldn't you have called again?" Ethan forgot. "But you knew I was leaving." Julian asked what else he had told him. Ethan said the leaving he had mentioned was to come here. Julian asked what else it would be. "So you weren't going back to inherit the family business?" Julian had already guessed his thoughts. "My old man is hale and hearty. No need for me to steal his job. I was trying to wrap up work before I left, which is why I was in a hurry the other day. Then there was no need to give me 3 months to think about it. Because I'm going to be here for 3 months," Julian said. "I didn't want to start a relationship and immediately be long distance." Ethan bit his lip, muttering that he didn't mind. "I mind," Julian said, cleaning up the medical waste and going to wash his hands. He asked if he was thirsty. Ethan, who had rushed here in a panic, was indeed thirsty. Julian handed him a cup of water. "So, have you thought about it?" Getting down to business, Ethan's heart and hands started to tremble. He gulped down the entire cup in 3 swallows, and only after wiping his mouth did he realize it was Julian's cup. Damn it! He was too nervous. The office was spacious. The afternoon sun shone through, illuminating his blonde hair and turning the tips of his ears pink. Julian watched him, thinking that it had only been 3 days, but he wanted to get closer to hold him. Ethan rubbed his ears, turning to face the wall, his forehead pressed against it like a child being punished. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. It was a letter-sized sheet, covered front and back with dense writing like a cheat sheet for an exam. Julian didn't interrupt, just watched him review, memorize, review again, and memorize again. When he was ready, Ethan put the paper back in his pocket. Before turning around, he gave himself a little pep talk. He stood in front of him like a high school student facing the principal, hands behind his back, head down. "Dr. Julian, I'm ready." Julian told him he could sit. Ethan shook his head, saying he'd rather stand. It was closer to the door, for a faster escape. Julian propped his chin on his hand, leaning back in his chair. "Go ahead." Was this really a confession? It felt more like the time he had to write a self-criticism essay and reflect in his office. Ethan took a deep breath and started in a rush. "Dr. Julian, that night I wanted to confirm if you could be serious about a relationship. If not, I'm afraid I couldn't agree. But these past 3 days I've thought about it. Although you're promiscuous and your personal life is a mess." Wait a minute," Julian cut him off. "Who told you I was promiscuous, and my personal life is a mess?" "Please don't interrupt," Ethan said, pulling out the cheat sheet again. "I worked so hard on this draft, you made me forget." "Fine," Julian relented. "You go first." Ethan took a calming breath, just as Dr. Bennett had taught him, and started over. "Although you're promiscuous, and your personal life is a mess," Julian, unable to interrupt, looked like a forgotten cucumber, withered and black. "I've thought for 3 nights. Even if you're promiscuous, and your personal life is a mess, you still have many good qualities. For example," Ethan scratched his head. Well, it's too much trouble. We'll skip that part. The old cucumber was about to rot. Who taught him to summarize like that? If I don't agree, I'll definitely regret it. So, I've decided to give it a try. Ethan continued his assault, his tone utterly serious. Although I can accept your past of being promiscuous and having a messy personal life, now that we're dating, I hope you can settle down and not mess around with other people. I like you very much, but I only want a one-on-one relationship. I have zero tolerance for betrayal and will never forgive it. If you fall for someone else, please be honest with me. We can part on good terms. I won't cling. He said it with the conviction of an oath. If you can accept the above, then I'll agree. If not, I'll leave immediately and we'll pretend none of this ever happened. After reciting his script, Ethan finally dared to look at Julian. His face was not good. It was the precursor to an explosion. Ethan shut his mouth, his eyes darting around. Julian finally spoke, his voice slow. "Are you done?" Ethan nodded, his feet numb. But this was his bottom line. No compromise. "All right, let's address this one by one." Julian looked at him as if he were a CT scan, his gaze piercing. "First, who told you I was promiscuous, and my personal life is a mess?" Ethan was indignant. "You said so yourself." "When did I say that?" "In Tibet. You said you liked one-night stands. I said that to you on purpose. Why would you say that to me on purpose for no reason?" Ethan's face fell as he realized. The man was so manipulative. "Well, there's more," Ethan said, scrambling to find more evidence. "You also talked to me about the quality of condoms at the hospital, and you bought so many. Normal people don't have that many. Obviously, only a tireless, promiscuous person who parties every night would need that many. That quantity would make a stud horse bow its head in shame." Julian's face was about to crack. "You're the one who chose the trash-quality condoms that made a mess everywhere, and I'm not allowed to comment on it?" Back then, the 18-year-old Ethan and the 24-year-old Julian, both inexperienced, had an endless supply of energy. The first taste of pleasure, neither knew when to stop. They learned and practiced, practically turning the bedroom into a water park. Ethan was confused. "What did I buy that for? What do you think?" Julian retorted. For 20-some years, he had never cleaned his own room, but the mess caused by the insufficient and broken condoms had shamed him into changing sheets and mopping floors. He had been so angry he almost bought the condom factory and shut it down so he would never have to see their trash products again. As for why I bought so many, Julian's face was cold, his tone threatening. "I'll show you with my actions in the future." Ethan looked down, fiddling with his hands, and finally managed an O. Julian pressed on. The topic was getting hotter. Ethan continued to pick at his hands. "You also bought so many of that thing." "Which thing?" Ethan's face was half red as he searched for a descriptor. "The buzzing kind. And you took it out." Julian pinched the bridge of his nose. "That was a gift for..." He sighed. "Anyway, it wasn't for me. Still in my car. I'll show it to you another day." "That's not necessary." Julian hadn't realized he had misunderstood so deeply, had been harboring so much resentment. He asked if there was anything else. Ethan recalled his script. "That's all for now. Compared to the above, the rest is trivial. I'll bring it up as it comes." Julian's tone softened. "If you have something on your mind, don't keep it in." Ethan nodded obediently, breathing a sigh of relief. "As for the other debts, we'll settle them slowly later," Julian said, straightening his collar. "Let's talk about the important stuff first." The air Ethan had just released tensed up again. "What debts?" Julian ignored the question, his expression serious. "Ethan, I can only tell you that when it comes to relationships, I am not promiscuous. My personal life is not messy. I have only ever been with you. Like you, I only believe in one-on-one relationships. While we are dating, I will only be with my partner. His voice was deep and sincere. I don't want to make empty promises about the future. But from now on, every day, I will strive to be a good boyfriend. My eyes and my heart will only be for you. A ray of sunlight streamed through the window, widening. Julian's pupils held a starry sky. In just a few minutes, his eyes had pierced through Ethan's body, and he saw a meteor shower. He ruffled his hair, smiling. So, at this point, can we officially be in a relationship? Ethan tried to keep his lips from smiling too widely to hide his overwhelming joy. He turned away, nodding repeatedly. Are you feeling wronged? Julian asked. Ethan tried to act casual. It's all right. Let's celebrate. In Ethan's mind, celebration meant barbecue, karaoke, and beer. He looked around. How do we celebrate? Julian propped his chin on his hand, a teasing smile on his face. For example, a kiss. Ethan's gaze fell on the blooming roses outside the window, their pink fragrance drifting in on the breeze. He was about to suffocate. His heart was boiling in his chest. Here? Can we? Ethan didn't wait for an answer. He was already preparing. Step 1. Peek outside the door. Step 2. Lock the door, pull the curtains, even covering the small window on the door to create a dim, private space. When everything was ready, Ethan tugged at his sleeves and stood in front of Julian again. The intimacy hadn't even begun, and his face was already as red as a cooked tomato. He even had to say, "Dr. Julian, I'm ready." Julian, still seated, lifted his eyelids. Are we kissing while you're standing? The fire of excitement was burning in his heart, the flames spreading to his brain. Ethan hadn't had time to consider the details. Whatever works for me. Aren't your legs tired? Ethan shook his head, his adrenaline pumping. How could he feel tired? He was contemplating how to initiate when he was suddenly pulled into an embrace. But your boyfriend is worried you're tired. Julian bent down, his left hand on the chair, his right hand cupping Ethan's chin. Is this position okay? Ethan nodded, closing his eyes. The rose-scented wind pricked at his skin. His thin body trembled. Julian's breath was a warm friction against his skin. It's not the first time. Why are you still so nervous? Ethan opened his eyes and saw his boyfriend's affectionate gaze. Did we kiss back then? You liked kissing very much. Julian's low voice was infectious. You kissed me all night. Ethan wished he could remember that night. Not just that time. Julian's lips touched his eyelid, breathing warmth onto it. My birthday night was real too. Ethan held his breath. Did you really force a kiss on me? Yes, Julian said, tilting his chin up. Want to get your revenge? Of course. Ethan went for it, closing his eyes. This was the first time Ethan had observed Julian so closely. With his eyes closed, the man's brow was smooth, his features clean and well-defined. He was definitely a high-quality, handsome man. Ethan congratulated himself on his good taste. Ethan. Julian's brow furrowed. He was still nervous. Did he not have the right to dominate his boyfriend, who was also his attending? Okay, Ethan said, leaning in and giving him a soft peck on the corner of his mouth. It was so soft he wanted more, but held back. Julian's face turned into his ER director mask, disdainful and unsatisfied. That's it? One more, then. Ethan leaned in again, this time kissing him on the lips. Julian was still not satisfied. You can't even do your job right. Do I have to teach you how to kiss, too? Oh, Ethan said dryly. I'll study harder. Forget it. I don't have that much patience. Julian pointed to his own shoulder. Hands here. Ethan obeyed. Both arms around my neck. Ethan stretched his arms up, hooking them around his neck. This time, not only was his waist pulled in, but he was also pressed closer to Julian, heart to heart, his chest thumping against his. Ethan felt like he was in a steamer, hot and steamy, his words coming out in broken pieces. Is this okay now? MMMPH. His lips were sealed, Julian's instructions and commands taking over. Open your mouth. Tongue here. Julian's kissing tutorial was, in Ethan's eyes, a hostile takeover. His mouth was pried open, the invader's energy conquering everything it touched. If he didn't give enough, he was criticized. Hold me tighter. Arms closer. You can make noise, you don't have to hold it in. I like it. When you breathe, use your nose and respond with your mouth. The kiss escalated exponentially. Ethan was mesmerized, following all of Julian's instructions with pleasure. He tilted his chin up, stretching his neck to receive more intimacy, more affection. The experience of kissing was magical. Every organ in his body was telling him that this feeling was called happiness. Ethan was completely lost in it, but Julian pulled away first, letting him go and turning to drink water. Ethan was panting, his legs pressed tightly together. Are we not continuing? Julian took off his white coat, unbuttoned another button, and tilted his head back to down a second glass of water. No. Ethan licked his lips, which were practically on fire from the friction. He looked down to straighten his clothes and saw a shameful reaction. Like he was under a spell, he still had to express his desire. I still want to. You want to, but I can't. Julian handed him a glass of water, his thumb tracing his glistening lips. His chin was held in Julian's hand. He looked around the clinic. Do you want me to be a beast here? Ethan felt like he was being cooked over a high flame. He downed glass after glass of water. So hot. He needed to put out the fire. When he had drunk his fill, Julian was neatly dressed again. He looked at his watch. Let's go eat. So early? It's only 5:30. You're not even off your shift yet. My stomach's not even hungry anymore. He was still feigning strength. If they had kissed any longer, he was afraid he would have passed out from the excitement. Just a kiss and you're like this, Julian mused. I can't imagine what will happen later. Ethan rubbed his stomach. It was true. Julian's hands had been very restless during the kiss, pinching and kneading. He finally knew where the red marks on his waist had come from back then. He had been so focused on his mouth that he hadn't noticed anything else. For as long as they had kissed, Julian had been needing him. Julian started to walk out. Hurry up and eat, then I'll take you back. Ethan stopped. Back where? You're not working tomorrow? Julian couldn't bring himself to criticize him for skipping work, but he knew Dr. Hayes' complaint call would definitely come before the end of the day. He knew Julian's strictness, but he also knew that Dr. Hayes was not an understanding leader. Dr. Hayes gave me 2 days off, Ethan said. What? Julian thought he had misheard. Ethan repeated himself, adding that Dr. Hayes had also given him the clinic's address. Old Hayes must have lost his mind to do something like that. Having traveled so far, Ethan was not eager to be long distance so soon. He was also worried Julian would get into his workaholic mode. He hinted that he wasn't that hungry and could sit a little longer. Julian didn't hear him. Fill your stomach before you sit. Before they were officially dating, Ethan was used to walking on Julian's right, slightly behind him, a sign of respect. But this time, Julian took his hand, pulling him to his side, forcing him to walk with him. The town clinic was not nearly as busy as the state hospital. At 5:30, with the sun still up, the doctors and nurses were leaving for the day. They met them in the hallway, Julian and the boy whose hand he was holding. Julian generously introduced him as his boyfriend, almost blurting out a wedding date. After the well-wishers had left, Julian had to pull Ethan, who was hiding behind him, back to his side. Everyone knows now. Are you still shy? I'm not shy. Obviously, Ethan was shy. His palm was sweating. While Julian was talking, he tried to slip his hand out. We're dating and you won't even let me hold your hand? Julian was not so easily fooled. Dr. Ethan is so cruel. I'm not letting you, Ethan mumbled. It's just a strange feeling. How is it strange? Holding hands like this, Ethan scratched his head, his eyes on the ground. Makes me want to kiss you again. Are you sure it's just kissing? Julian had to tease him. No other improper thoughts? Ethan persisted in his self-reflection. Holding hands was that sensitive? Julian lowered his voice, his lips buried in the hair at his temple. What are you going to do when we do it? Ethan finally broke free, his face red. He wouldn't talk to him for a while, sulking like a pufferfish, stubbornly keeping his distance. The remote southern town didn't have many decent restaurants. Julian took him to a local family's home for a simple home-cooked meal. After dinner, as dusk fell, they walked along the river, watching the sunset and listening to the wind. After being used to a hectic pace, it was a rare moment of tranquility. Julian led him to a pavilion to rest. They sat for 5 minutes, and Ethan stole 800 glances at him. Julian, looking ahead, tossed a stone into the river. Why did you go to a gay bar 8 years ago? To prove if I was gay or not. Does that kind of thing need proving? My family was trying to set me up with a girl, but I wasn't interested, and I didn't want to get married. Dr. Vance? Ethan asked. Julian turned his head. How did you know? Gossip. Julian turned back, annoyed. Did you take it seriously? Were you upset? I was pretty upset at the time. How did you get over it? I didn't. I went to Dr. Vance to confirm. Julian was not happy. You went to her, not me? Who would want to go to a scumbag to confirm anything? That was a hurdle they wouldn't get over. Julian had a reasonable suspicion. The night you told me to have some self-respect, was it because of that? Ethan silently confirmed. Looking back, it was pretty stupid. From now on, if you have any questions, come to me, Julian said seriously. Don't let yourself feel wronged. Understood? Ethan nodded, happy with an honest relationship. Julian turned the tables. And you? How did you get dumped by your ex-boyfriend back then? Ethan's eyes darted away. I wasn't dumped. Stop pretending. In the bathroom, you mistook me for your ex-boyfriend. Julian was getting angry just thinking about it. You hugged me and wouldn't let go, whining that I was abandoning you. From start to finish, Ethan had only ever acknowledged the Julian in the photos. The person he was chatting with online was Julian. The person he wanted to meet was Julian. What did it have to do with him? It was an embarrassing memory Ethan didn't want to revisit. It's fine, he said. Julian's threat was like a command. I don't want to repeat myself. Who told you to post those pictures? Ethan's chest was tight. The thought of other people seeing his boyfriend made him uncomfortable. You're not allowed to post any more in the future. Julian suddenly remembered. Are you talking about the ones on your phone? Ethan clutched his phone, nearly falling off the bench. How did you know? Julian tilted his head, a smug look on his face. Dr. Ethan, you're much more honest when you're drunk. The devil. How much leverage did he have on him? Despicable. So what happened? Although it was a great humiliation, under the combined threat and inducement of his attending physician and boyfriend, Ethan gave a 100% honest confession. Ethan could have predicted that Julian wouldn't be happy, but was his face a little too dark? Did he really not need to see an ENT? A volcano was erupting on Julian's head, his fangs bared. Are you an idiot? How could you fall for that? Even though Ethan was underage when he was scammed, such a stupid trick would have been seen through by anyone with a little common sense. Ethan hung his head and ears like a scolded puppy. Although it was his own fault, he still felt it was unfair to bear it all alone. Who told you to take those pictures to seduce people? Julian ruffled his hair, comforting the sad puppy. So you liked them that much? None of your business. Ethan opened his photo gallery, flipping through them one by one. Anyway, can you not post any more in the future? Julian's lips curved. You don't want other people to see? Who would want their boyfriend to be seen by others? Dr. Ethan is quite possessive, Julian said. He explained the photos were from a bet in college. The bet was long over and he had deleted them long ago. He had lost the bet and had to post 3 photos a day for a month. He had gained a lot of followers and some modeling agencies had even contacted him. He didn't care, but taking 3 photos a day was a hassle. After that, he never dared to drink and make stupid bets with people again. He had no idea those photos would be used to scam people. Ethan scrolled through the gallery, the beads of his abacus clicking in his mind. Can I have a few more? These are old. Dr. Ethan's private collection, Julian said, taking his hand and placing it on his abs. Play with it as you please. He hadn't even started playing, and Ethan could already write a story. Dr. Ethan and his abs boyfriend. The story of a resident's busy night. The story was cut short. Julian pulled his hand away and looked at his own forearm. Ethan leaned in. What is it? Julian was quick, already flicking it away with a twig. Ethan recognized it as a saddleback caterpillar, which was common on most woody plants in the summer. Their bodies were covered in venomous spines that caused itching and pain upon contact. It wasn't an emergency. Most people recovered in 2 or 3 days. But Julian's skin was sensitive, and if not treated properly, it could get infected. Julian was prepared, taking out a tube of ointment from his pocket and starting to apply it. Ethan stopped him. What are you doing? Is that what a doctor does? You should at least disinfect it first before applying ointment. It's too much trouble. Julian was meticulous with his patients, but with himself, he took the easy way out. Ethan took the ointment from him. I'll be right back. In less than 10 minutes, Ethan returned with a disinfection kit. He cleaned the area, applied the ointment, and then took out a bandage and tape. Julian's skin was prone to keloids, and Ethan was worried about scarring. I'm allergic to tape, Julian said, stopping him and reminding him not to tie a bow because it was ugly. Without tape or a bow, the bandage couldn't be secured. Julian insisted it wasn't necessary. No, Ethan said, holding his hand firmly, his tone righteous. My private property, my rules. Julian was speechless. Ethan insisted on wrapping it, hesitating on how to secure it. He had a sudden idea. He rolled up his sleeve, took off his hair tie, and started wrapping it around Julian's arm. A familiar-looking string with a red bead. Julian's anger shot up, hot enough to burn the grass around them. Who told you to use that? A hair tie is convenient, Ethan said as he wrapped. It's elastic. Julian was so angry his teeth itched. Who told you this is a hair tie? Ethan stretched the elastic in front of his face. Then what is it? Julian wanted to fly to Singapore and burn down the old man's stupid shop. His wrist was wrapped. Ethan still didn't understand why he was here. Medical aid from a top-tier hospital was common, but Julian's trip this time was voluntary. To pay a debt, Julian said. What debt? Ethan tilted his head. Julian picked up a stone and threw it back on the ground. I was trapped right here. Ethan looked at the dark red pavilion. The earthquake. Julian nodded. This used to be an elementary school. 2 rows of brick buildings. When we went in, we could still hear the children crying. Then, for a moment, the sound stopped. The world was plunged into darkness. A sickening silence. Julian's abdomen was injured, and he was pinned in a crevice, unable to move, unable to save himself. No food, no water, unable to assess his injuries. He estimated he probably wouldn't survive more than 3 days. All he could do was think. The irony was palpable. Lying there like a useless person, all he could do was wait to die and offer meaningless prayers. Prayers to live, prayers for a miraculous escape. If he could survive, he would be willing to spend 10 years helping rural hospitals, using his hands to save more lives. As long as he was alive, he would do anything. A thorn grew in Ethan's heart, starting from a soft place and growing outward. Do you come here every year? Yes, every year. Julian had once hated this place and once been grateful for it. Every time he sat here, felt the wind, looked at the mountains, and listened to the cicadas, he was filled with the profound realization that it was good to be alive. Ethan said he would apply to come with him next year. Julian ruffled his hair. Next year is the last year. So fast. 10 years have passed. Ethan's eyes fell to his abdomen, his chest swelling as if it had been forcibly inflated. Can I see the scar? Julian spread his legs, leaning against a pillar. Help yourself. The scar was low, hidden by his waistband. Ethan lifted his shirt and unbuckled his belt. He could see Julian's dark gray boxers, pulled low on his abdomen, covering a small part of his V-line and abs. 8 years ago, he had mistakenly worn Julian's underwear. They had been loose on him. Ethan remembered Julian's size, his ears burning, for words in his mind, utterly depraved. He pushed down the waistband, revealing the entire scar. The knife wound he had shielded him from had still left a mark, merging with the old scar to form a complete Z. Ethan leaned over Julian's waist, his fingertips tracing the Z on his skin. He should have let Dr. Bennett stitch it. Although it was 2 separate wounds, the old scar was clearly much more severe, stitched up while it was still inflamed. Even so, it was still much better than his own stitching. Ethan silently vowed to work harder. Julian's hand gently stroked Ethan's hair. I like these 2 scars. They're mementos. One is a reminder to respect life. The other is a testament to Ethan's growth. I like them too, Ethan said, leaning closer. But I don't want you to get hurt. It's fine. It's all in the past. Ethan's fingers continued to trace the scar, his breath warm on the skin, his heartbeat in sync with his own. Dr. Julian, can I kiss it? The position, the request. There was no reason to refuse. The wind blew at an angle, and Ethan could smell the faint scent on him, while Julian was intoxicated by his unique soap scent. Ethan licked his lips and kissed the scar. Once, twice, 3 times, insatiably. By the riverside at night, the air was damp. Julian's abdomen was on fire, and Ethan's kisses were the oil poured on top. He was unaware of the danger spreading through his body. He hadn't even fully processed the wet heat when he felt Julian tense up. He recognized the feeling and almost lost his mind. Julian grabbed his arm and pulled him up. What are you licking? His tone was harsh, a disguise for his own guilt. Ethan's eyes were covered with a film of water, a reddish tinge of heartache for him. But in Julian's eyes, it was a deliberate provocation, an appeal to his most basic instincts. Julian zipped up his pants, tightened his belt. Let's go. Where? Ethan followed him. Back to the dorm. To sleep. The town clinic had a dormitory, a new building from last year. Double rooms, good environment. Because there were more rooms than staff, everyone had their own space. Ethan had come with only the clothes on his back. After his shower, he wore Julian's pajamas. His underwear was also the dark gray pair he had been cajoled into wearing, the same style as the one he had mistakenly worn years ago. The beast was so petty. The sound of water came from the bathroom. Ethan sat on the other empty bed. No pillow, no blanket, just a bare, hard mattress. The water stopped. The door opened from the inside. A familiar scent filled the air. Julian was shirtless, water droplets clinging to his shoulders and chest. A waterproof film was wrapped around his arm, the beaded hair tie still there. Ethan glanced once, then quickly looked away, scrolling through photos on his phone. Julian bent down, his hands on the bed, and tilted his chin up. The real thing is right in front of you. Why are you looking at pictures? It's better to look at pictures. Ethan moved his chin from his hand. What's wrong with this? Julian took his phone and knelt lower, looking up at Ethan's face. Who made DR? Ethan, unhappy? My private property has been stamped by someone else. Ethan pouted, turning his face away. How could he be happy? He had forgotten about it today, but it was so blatant. What kind of robber, what kind of bandit, what kind of art-destroying thief had done this? What stamp? Julian asked. Ethan didn't speak, pointing to his chest, mentally making a note to ask the plastic surgery department about laser scar removal. Julian finally understood. He sat down beside him. The long and complicated love-hate story between me and this little vixen, he chuckled. He tilted his chin. Want to hear it? Ethan's face was sullen. No. The first time I saw him, I felt he was different. I was attracted to him, but I didn't want to get involved. But he was too clingy, wouldn't leave my house no matter what I said. Ethan's ears perked up. He ate my food, drank my drinks, and ordered me around, eating potato chips on my multi-thousand-dollar rug. Julian continued. The one in the living room, your favorite one. He forced his way into my room, calling me Jules this and Jules that, his face red, his eyes wet, and confessed his love for me. Julian was getting into it. I already liked him a little. It's my fault my resolve wasn't strong enough. Couldn't resist. He took my virginity. Julian turned to look him in the eye. Afterward, he left a fake number and made me look for him for 7 or 8 years. Ethan's chest tightened like a dry, squeezed sponge. You looked for him? Desperately. The day before I left for Germany, I still hadn't given up. I spent the whole night at the gay bar. I memorized every face in the crowd, but I couldn't find the boy with yellow hair. Julian stood up, moving back into his line of sight. Dr. Ethan, do you think this little vixen is annoying? Hateful? A little annoying, Ethan said, his eyes on the bite mark, his fingertips tracing it. I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional, but the damage was done. No need to apologize, Julian said, his lips brushing his nose. But you have to pay me back slowly. Ethan rubbed the mark. How? Endless shifts, late nights, writing papers. How does that sound? Killing him softly. I'll write it when I get back. Ethan sounded like he was giving his last words. The person in front of him wasn't his boyfriend. He was the devil. I'll send it to you when I'm done. In your dreams. Julian picked him up and threw him onto the bed. You can only pay me back with your body. Ethan was pushed down, kissed until his clothes were a mess. He bit his lip, hesitating. Julian said it seemed a little fast. First day of dating, they had kissed, hugged, and now they were going to do it. Ethan had thought they should take it slow, but on the other hand, although he had no memory of it, they had done it twice. Thinking about it now seemed a bit hypocritical. Julian said it wasn't fast, that he hadn't planned on doing anything tonight. Ethan looked up. Before I came back, didn't you say you wanted to? Julian waited for him to say what he wanted. Ethan's heart was pounding. Sleep. I was teasing you. Julian got up, helping him straighten his crooked collar. Let's take it slow. No rush. Is it because you don't have that? Ethan couldn't even say the word condom. I considered it, but it wasn't the main reason. Then why? First, I don't want to force you, Julian said, tapping his nose. Second, if I tire you out, how are you going to get through surgery the day after tomorrow? Before Ethan transferred to neuro, Julian had told him to get as much time as possible to build up clinical experience. Dr. Hayes had him in at least one surgery a day. Neurosurgery involved opening the skull. There were no minor surgeries. One operation could last over 10 hours. He was worried Ethan couldn't handle it. But Ethan, with his rebellious spirit, was eager to try. You could be a little gentler, like last time. Last time? The second time? Julian ruffled his hair. You really believed that? Ethan blinked. Julian said they hadn't done it that time. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. He didn't want to take advantage of him, knowing he would lose his memory. If we had really done it, how could you have been up and about the next day? Julian leaned in, his voice a whisper. You would have been lying in bed, crying and screaming, calling me a beast, begging me to rub your back. Ethan's back didn't hurt, but his pride was stung. After so many years, your technique hasn't improved? Who told you to be so delicious? Julian said it so casually. Whether I've improved or not, we'll have to see. You'll have to be a good teacher, Dr. Ethan, Julian said, his words a mix of affection and teasing. Your boyfriend is very faithful. I've been celibate for 8 years, just for you. So please teach me well. He smiled. Even if I can't contribute to society, at least I can benefit myself. I'll try. Ethan's face was a mask, afraid to crack from smiling. He tried his best to contain his joy. Get some sleep. Julian got out of bed and put on his robe. Ethan asked where he was going. Julian pointed to the empty bed opposite them. To get a blanket. Ethan panicked. Can't we sleep together? I don't mind. Julian stood in the doorway. What's there to mind? Ethan turned to face the wall, pulling the blanket over his head. Hurry up and turn off the light. I'm tired. He didn't move, silently chanting a spell.
Danetko, Danetko, Danetko.
If you go, you have to kneel and call me Daddy. The room went dark. There was no sound of the door opening. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. That was close. The beads of his mental abacus had almost scattered. He could feel Julian approaching. In the dark, his senses were heightened by nervousness. The metal bed frame and wooden slats creaked under the external pressure. Julian lay down behind him. Just one blanket. Ethan shifted, offering him a part of it. The bed was narrow, and 2 adult men were a tight fit. Julian's breath was on the back of his neck. Are you going to keep your back to me all night? You're the one who said it, so I won't be polite. Ethan turned around and burrowed into Julian's arms. One hand on his abs, the other on his chest. His body a small, hot furnace, clinging tightly. Looking at pictures was no substitute for the real thing. Julian indulged him, turning on his side and saying goodnight. Ethan's eyes were shut tight, his mind racing, willing time to pass. When Julian's breathing was finally even, Ethan revealed his true colors. He slowly raised his head, making sure Julian was asleep. He moved his fingers, first exploring his chest. It was too dark to see the birthmark, but he could feel the bite mark. He reflected that he had had no taste back then. He would never bite it. It was like a protective film on a work of art. Perfect. After admiring the first piece of art, Ethan slowly moved downward, his hand tracing a path. Before he was halfway there, a hand shot out and pinned him in place. "What are you doing?" Julian's voice was laced with sleep. "Still not asleep?" Ethan pulled his head back, his tone righteous. "Can't I even touch?" Julian pressed his leg down. "If you touch and I get a reaction, are you going to take responsibility?" "I'll take responsibility." In this area, Ethan had years of clinical experience. He broke free and continued downward. The moment he made contact, he recoiled. "I didn't even do anything." "For an old man, your libido is still so strong." Julian rolled over and pinned him down. "Dr. Ethan, do you want to provide unilateral assistance or mutual assistance?" Ethan rubbed his leg against him. "If you insist on helping, I guess it's okay." The assistance from last time was still fresh in his memory. Before he was ready, Julian went straight to the point. Ethan was flustered. He hadn't expected it so soon. He should have at least given him a... There was no foreplay. Just as Ethan was getting used to it, the creaking of the bed and a loud snore interrupted them. They both turned to look at the wall at the same time. The bed was against the wall. All the dorm rooms were the same. If they removed the wall, the two beds would be less than half a meter apart. Ethan whispered, "The person next door is Director Fong. He's over 70. The respiratory department couldn't even cure his snoring. The healer cannot heal himself, you know." Ethan didn't want to know. He just wanted to know how well Director Fong slept and if he would be woken up by strange noises. "I don't know about his sleep quality," Julian whispered back, his voice low against his ear. "But he has a nickname, Supersonic Ears." Ethan didn't even dare to breathe. "Then what do we do?" Julian pulled him up. "To the bathroom." The bathroom was narrow, the space steamy and hazy. The atmosphere was even more stimulating. Ethan felt a thrill of doing something illicit. "Is this okay?" In the dark, damp room, Julian slowly approached him. "We did it in the bathroom 3 times back then," he whispered, kissing his ear. Ethan reflected on himself. Was he really that wild? Not only that, Julian turned him around, making him place his hands on the wall. "You liked this position very much, and you liked to continue while showering. Even when your legs couldn't stand, you wouldn't let me stop, begging me to keep going." It's a complete fabrication, Ethan thought. He's been watching too many movies and has delusions. The stories he made up were so vivid they were enough to make Ethan blush and imagine all sorts of scenarios. Julian's hands slipped under his shirt from his waist. "Dr. Ethan, are you ready? Isn't this mutual assistance?" Julian pressed his chest against his back. "I'll help you first. You can learn by watching." Ethan felt like he was floating. Just as things were getting interesting, the sound of flushing water and a gravelly voice wailing a sad love song came from the other side of the wall. It was even worse than his singing. "That's Dr. Wong from ENT," Julian said. "They call him the Little Trumpet. All the throat specialists in the world can't save his singing voice." Ethan suspected the dorm was a shoddy construction project. All the walls were like paper. His excitement was nearly extinguished. Maybe another day? He was turned around by Julian, who was now sporting a face like a block of ice. Your boyfriend is in this state because of you, and now you're telling me another day? Is that appropriate? Then what do we do? The bedroom had a 70-year-old with supersonic hearing, and the bathroom had a young man with a trumpet for a voice. When morning came, Ethan still wanted to be a normal person who could walk out and embrace the sun. But Julian wouldn't let him go. They were forced to relocate to the windowsill. In the dark, through the curtain, two figures were pressed tightly together. The point of mutual assistance was the mutual. Ethan leaned against the window, Julian stood in front of him. In his youth, Ethan had been full of vigor and had often explored on his own, especially while looking at Julian's pictures. He never thought this skill would be used on the person himself. Life was full of experiences. The self-exploration had not been in vain. Beast! Oh beast, Ethan lamented his own fate sore for a week. Julian needed his ear. The Ethan from back then liked it very much, crying out for me not to stop. Don't say any more, Ethan said, his grip tightening. Why am I the only one helping? Are you slacking? Julian had been playing with him the whole time, not taking it seriously. I'm afraid if I try too hard, you won't be able to handle it. Who are you looking down on? I'm very strong. Is that so? Dr. Ethan, do you want to try something different? What? Julian placed both of their shirts behind Ethan's back. Learn carefully. I'll only teach you once. Julian's demonstration was flawless. Ethan was eager to practice. After breakfast, Ethan prepared to head back. Julian took half a day off to see him off personally. On a bright, sunny morning, the train station was bustling with people. Two tall, handsome young men, one with blonde hair, were hard to miss. And the blonde one was so clingy. Ethan's face was burning as he listened to his boyfriend, who was also his former attending, remind him to eat on time, take care of himself, learn humbly, and listen to Dr. Hayes. After the boyfriend's instructions, the former attending added his own. Repeat what I just said. It was so serious, like a different person. Ethan obediently recited, eat on time, take care of myself, move into his bedroom, review and summarize every surgery I participate in, write electronic versions, print and archive them, read all the neurosurgery-related books in the study and summarize them. After rattling off the list, his boyfriend's face went from handsome to moderately handsome to demonic. Ethan's eyes darted away. Did I say something wrong? Julian had been possessed by a demon. Is that all? Ethan insisted he had tried his best to replicate it. Julian looked around, pulled up the hood of Ethan's sweatshirt, and kissed him. You didn't say you'd miss me. Ethan pulled the hood tighter, whispering, I'll miss you. At the ticket gate, Ethan, his face as red as the sun, said goodbye. The 2-day journey had crossed half the country. He had a boyfriend now, but he couldn't neglect his work and studies. As soon as he got off the train, Ethan called Julian. He didn't go home, but went straight back to the hospital. Dr. Hayes had a surgery in the afternoon, and he wanted to observe. After a long day, it was 9 o'clock at night when he got home. He grabbed a bite to eat, then went into the bathroom and opened his phone's photo gallery. Fortunately, he had taken some before he left. His collection of precious photos had grown from 93 to 193. His photography skills were much better than Julian's selfies. Every part of him, from his legs to his face, was captured in clear detail. Soon, a video call from Julian popped up. Are you in the shower? Ethan nodded, looking at the background on his screen. Haven't you gotten off work yet? Are you busy? No, just organizing some case files, Julian said. There's no point in going back to the dorm without you there. Ethan thought if the people in the group chat knew Julian was like this in private, they would die of shock. Julian asked if he was in his bathroom. Ethan felt he was asking the obvious. He hadn't moved in yet. He scrambled for an excuse. I moved my stuff, but you didn't say if I could use the bathroom, so I'm still showering over here. It's our home. What's not to use? Julian said our and home so easily. Ethan felt like they could get married the next second. Julian propped his chin on his hand. My place has a double jacuzzi with massage jets. It's a great experience for two people to shower together. Ethan wished he didn't understand. He felt like he was being teased. If I can't touch you, at least I can look, right? Ethan sank lower into the water. Look at what? Julian was shameless. Hurry up. Don't waste time. Wait, I need to change my position. Hello? Hello? Ethan waved his phone around. Dr. Julian? Are you there? Why aren't you talking? Is the connection bad? Strange, why is it so laggy? The signal here is terrible. At the opportune moment, Ethan hung up and immediately sent Julian a message. The signal in the bathroom is bad. I'm about to get out anyway. I still have to write the summary Dr. Hayes assigned me. We can video call next time. Go to bed early. Good night. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. He was a little grateful for the long distance. Otherwise, he might have to postpone his residency and delay his graduation, because he would never be able to get out of bed. He went back to looking at the photos. They had just parted, and he already missed him. Fortunately, his busy work schedule greatly reduced the time for idle thoughts. In his half a month in neuro, Ethan was often in the OR for surgeries assigned by Dr. Hayes and for those he chose to participate in. He worked around the clock, often forgetting to eat. That evening, Ethan received a call from Leo, asking to meet at the same coffee shop as before. Ethan didn't ask why and went immediately. Last time, Leo had gone to great lengths to play matchmaker. Although he had messed things up, the final result was good. Ethan had been wanting to thank him in person. And there was one more thing. He still hadn't gotten his autograph. Leo was already there and had ordered him a juice. To avoid forgetting, Ethan took care of the important business first. He took out a postcard. Mr. Leo, my grandmother is a huge fan of yours. Could you sign this for her? The postcard was a commemorative ion from the TV station, featuring all their popular hosts. Leo was on the front page and in the center of the cover. Leo gladly accepted, signing his photo and writing a blessing for the elderly woman. Dr. Ethan, I wanted to talk to you about appearing on the show. Ethan vaguely remembered something about a science education program. He thought it was just a casual mention. I'm sorry, Mr. Leo, I'm in neuro right now, and the surgeries are very frequent. It's hard for Dr. Hayes to approve leave. He offered to recommend other classmates. That was one reason. The other was that he had no interest in being on TV. This segment is a collaboration with the state hospital, and the hospital is fully supportive, Leo said with a smile. As for Dr. Hayes, I asked Noah to ask him, and he agreed. Did he have to be so thorough? Dr. Ethan, please consider it. Being on TV wasn't a big deal, but Ethan found it troublesome. He fiddled with the signed postcard. Damn it. He owed him a favor now. He couldn't even find an excuse. That episode will be hosted by me. If it's convenient, you can bring your grandmother, Leo said, taking out 2 tickets. I can take a picture with her. Without a moment's hesitation, Ethan took the tickets, patting his chest. Mr. Leo, don't worry. I'll cooperate fully. It was for his dear grandmother. What choice did he have? He could already imagine her showing it off to the whole neighborhood. The recording was next week. The episode was a special on young doctors. Including him, there were 4 residents from the state hospital, 2 men and 2 women. Before the official recording, Ethan watched Dr. Bennett's episode. He had recently returned to cardiothoracic surgery, and the episode was about that. The Dr. Bennett who talked about surgery was completely different from the one who practiced traditional medicine. He exuded a deep-seated passion and confidence. Ethan would never forget the wound Dr. Bennett had stitched for Julian. He still couldn't imagine how a wound that had formed such a severe keloid could be repaired so well. He marveled at every skilled physician and knew that in the field of medicine, even geniuses had to work tirelessly day after day. He also wanted to be a respected doctor, to learn from all his seniors. The recording was simple, with a director and rehearsals. It was his first time wearing a white coat in a studio. He wanted to convey the responsibilities of a young doctor, to let the audience know that the hospital wasn't just full of professors and directors. Young doctors like them were also professional, responsible, and hardworking. It had been nearly a month since he'd last seen Julian. For the first week, they talked on the phone every night until late. Julian often fell asleep listening to Ethan's breathing. He knew how busy neurosurgery was and was afraid Ethan wasn't getting enough rest, so he tried to shorten their calls. During the day, they were busy with their own work. Before bed, there was always a good night. The workload at the town clinic was nothing compared to the state hospital. Julian couldn't bother Ethan, so he took out his frustration on Dr. Hayes, harassing him every few days, reminding him to be merciful to his boyfriend, that if he worked him too hard, he would have to answer to him. Dr. Hayes was at a loss. Ethan was even more hardworking than he had expected, taking on extra shifts and surgeries, often taking on tasks himself. He rarely criticized him and had started to praise him more. Julian was both pleased and heartbroken. He thought about it all day, not even daring to call, afraid of interrupting Ethan's meal or sleep. That evening, Julian was scrolling through his phone. Ethan hadn't contacted him in 2 days. Was he too tired? That old fossil Hayes must have put him on a major surgery, dozens of hours straight. The silly boy probably hadn't even left the OR. The more Julian thought about it, the more annoyed he got. He was already thin. If he got any more tired, there would be no meat on his bones. The food in the cafeteria was mediocre. He should hire a housekeeper to cook 3 meals a day for him. Just as he was about to call a housekeeping agency, someone called his name. "Director Julian, is your boyfriend's show recording next week?" It was the head nurse. Julian held his phone. "What show?" The head nurse smiled. "Oh, don't be so secretive. It's been advertised on TV for so long. Everyone knows." Julian didn't watch TV and rarely paid attention to the news. "My daughter is also a medical student. She loves Dr. Ethan. She wanted me to ask you for a ticket to the show. Do you think it's possible?" The head nurse chattered on, and Julian was completely lost. After a few more questions, he finally understood. After the first show aired, Ethan had become popular due to his looks and professional competence and had signed on for 2 more shows. But Julian knew none of this. He called Ethan, but it went straight to voicemail. A text came back immediately, "About to go into surgery. Dr. Hayes is calling me. I'll call you back later." Julian sent a message to Dr. Hayes. A call came back from him. The reply was that he had gone to the TV station to record a show. "Did you forget?" Ethan had been doing some deep soul-searching lately. Family affection should not be blind. You shouldn't spoil a retired old lady. His original intention was to make his grandmother happy, take her to see the TV station, and get a picture with Leo, who knew that on the day of the recording, the old lady would fully display her social butterfly nature, greeting everyone she met, telling everyone how much she liked them, and even boasting that he had signed on for 2 more shows. Afterward, Ethan's refusal not only angered his grandmother, but also alerted the hospital's publicity department. The director of the department personally came to his office, subtly persuading him to do the shows. For the sake of the hospital's image and to improve doctor-patient relations, which had been strained by public opinion in recent years. With a leader personally involved and a sulking old lady at home, Ethan had no choice but to agree. Fortunately, the show was pre-recorded, and the director and staff were very accommodating, scheduling the recordings during his time off. After that day's recording, Ethan said goodbye to everyone. The director started talking about future episodes. The TV station was generous. 1 episode paid more than 3 months of his salary. But he couldn't keep this up. Julian would be back soon. Ethan wasn't sure if he would survive. As the director talked excitedly, Ethan racked his brain for a way to get out of this mess. His gaze shifted, and he froze, blurting out, "I've seen a ghost." The director stopped, following his gaze. "Who is that? Which show is he from?" Lightning flashed over Ethan's head. "You might not have seen him, but I have. You might not know him, but I know him all too well." The demon was a head taller than everyone else, wearing a dark shirt, one hand in his pocket, walking straight toward him. It had been a month, and he was as handsome as ever. But his face looked like he was owed a life and it hadn't been repaid. The studio backstage was off-limits to outsiders. Ethan's eyes darted around and spotted Leo in the distance. "Mr. Leo, you're the top-rated host. You'll definitely put in a good word for me, right?" While he was praying, Julian arrived. Seizing the opportunity, he started with a barrage of compliments, hoping to disarm him. "Director Chun, let me introduce you." Ethan gestured to the other man. "This is Dr. Julian from the ER at the state hospital." Like Dr. Bennett, he is a very authoritative director who has saved countless lives. "Dr. Julian, I've heard so much about you," the director said, his smile polite. "I heard from Mr. Leo that there's also a neurosurgeon. The 3 of you are the pillars of the state hospital." "You're too kind," Julian said, extending his hand for a reintroduction. "My name is Julian Bellwether. I'm Dr. Ethan's boyfriend." Director Chun was quick on his feet, smoothly diffusing Ethan's awkwardness. "Our state hospital is truly full of talent, one generation surpassing the next." "You're too kind," Julian said, maintaining his formal politeness. "Ethan has been a bother to you during this time." "Dr. Julian, you're too polite," the director said with a smile. "We've had a very pleasant collaboration. I was just talking to Dr. Ethan about a long-term contract." "Thank you, Dr. Ethan is not going to live to see tonight, is he?" Julian's eyes could kill. "A long-term contract? He hasn't mentioned it to me." "I was just telling him," the director said expectantly. "You can discuss it when you get back." "I'll wait for your answer." "All right," Julian said, his tone heavy. "I'll have a good talk with him." After a brief exchange, Julian led Ethan away. Director Chun called after them, "Dr. Julian, if it's convenient, could we invite the 3 of you on the show? We can work around your schedule. The show is just starting out, and we really need you. You might as well invite Hippocrates and Galen." Ethan followed Julian with a long face, silently writing his own eulogy. "Today is the day. We'll be heroes in the next life. So many people are happy. Why am I the unlucky one? Since ancient times, who can escape death? Let's just walk this road." Outside the TV station, Ethan got into the car. It was crowded and hot outside, but the car was deathly quiet. Ethan broke the silence. "Why are you back?" Julian didn't even look at him. "What do you think?" If he weren't afraid of making a scene, Ethan would have buried his head in his hands and cried, asking the obvious. One more crime. He was a dead man. Ethan didn't say another word. Julian didn't speak either. But the car wasn't heading home. Was he taking him to a secret location or to feed him to the sharks? In his state of terror, the car stopped in front of a restaurant. It was his favorite seafood restaurant. So, he was going to be fed a last meal before his execution. During the meal, Julian shelled shrimp and served him food. Ethan ate with his head down. He was really hungry. He had rushed from the ore to the recording studio, his poor stomach empty all day. He had been too busy to even drink water. After a full meal, they returned home safely. Ethan was led to the master bedroom. Julian gave him a look. "Go take a shower." Ethan scurried in, then scurried out 2 minutes later, saying he was just getting his toothbrush, before running off again. When he returned, Ethan knew his time was up. He had promised to move into his room, but in reality he had only slept there once. He had lied to him again. One more crime. Halfway through his shower, Ethan realized another serious problem. He had only brought his toiletries. His pajamas were in the next room. Ethan looked down at himself. Going out to get them now would be like a warrior marching to his death. But he couldn't not go. He turned off the water and put on Julian's pajamas. The door opened slowly. On the other side was the person he hadn't seen in so long. Since his residency began, they had never been apart for so long, especially during their relationship. Julian was leaning against the headboard, looking at him. Clean, handsome, and neat. Ethan tugged at the oversized collar, his toes curling in embarrassment, standing there like a stiff, dried fish. Julian got up, lifted him, and carried him to the bed. He knelt on the bed, his hands on Ethan's waist. "Are you going to confess? Or should I ask?" "I only agreed to do the show to make my grandmother happy, and Mr. Leo told me." Julian cut him off. "That's not what I want to hear." Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. "I promise I won't participate in any more shows without permission." I wasn't going to agree to the long-term contract Director Chin mentioned. "I'm not telling you not to participate. But why did you hide it from me?" Julian reflected. Was he really that scary that he had to hide this from him? "I didn't mean to hide it," Ethan said. "The first show,